I've hit the button now. We're not live just yet, though. It's always fun just checking the status of whether or not we're live, and now we indeed are. Hello, guys. How are you all doing? Welcome to the main Y.A.R.P as opposed to the gaming one from Friday. As you can all see, the overlay is still different and new.
And hopefully my microphone buzzing has been at least mostly fixed. I don't know if I'll be able to get rid of it completely, but as long as it's not so fucking noticeable because it was really annoying to listen to.
We need to get you one of those like microphone arms where half the time you're talking it's just you just adjusting the mic and you look like one of those main gamer stream people where you just or it's just the big microphone and the pop filter just in your face.
Yeah, no, my fucking mouse lights up. That's as close to being one of those people as I ever want to be.
I have one of those the arm thing, but it's mainly just to make this a bit as hands free as possible.
I mean, my microphone is hands free. It's just on the desk in front of me.
Right. Um. So in terms of how's everybody fucking as I'm making sure stuff works. What do you guys think about Batman?
I generally like him.
That's good. Uh,
I wonder if anything will ever happen to challenge that statement, but I
I
generally like him.
I like the games more than the movies, and it's probably because I'm more of a since I've always been more of a comic guy, and the video games have just been love letters to the comics.
I
Uh,
played the first Arkham Asylum, I think, and
yeah,
I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest. I found a lot of it. They did some really outdated things that should be like the Poison Ivy boss is like the big example I go to
yeah, it's
because you've got the big thing. It's got a big hit here. This is the boss's weak point, and it's just spawning endless goons at you.
mm-hmm,
Like that's a really retro style of boss fight, and I fucking hate it. I hate that it's so cheap when you make the boss, and the challenge is just that they're spawning normal enemies. It's really uninspired. It doesn't create an interesting challenge,
mm-hmm.
and I found that even though that's the big example, there was a lot of that kind of problem I had with a lot of the game. Even though things like stealth and normal hand-to-hand combat were pretty fun.
I played City onwards, so City and Origins and Night. Um, yeah, they're pretty alright. They're fun. I'm so when I'm just now playing Asylum, so and I've played every game on like the hardest difficulty and like New Game Plus where like the attack indicators go away. So just doing my normal thing where it's like, all right, my first playthrough, I'll be on normal, and I didn't realize how much like I could basically play that game blindfolded because I've already taken on like the hardest games in the series.
Yeah, and the style of combat where it comes from the Assassin's Creed school of just counters. Counters are king. Once you get the hang of that and you get your timing and your rhythm down, the difficulty is no longer
Y-
relevant.
yeah,
It's just the amount of enemies.
yeah, the counter, critical strike, the takedowns, like it just becomes
Hmm.
you just turn on autopilot as opposed to in City and in Night. There's a lot of shit you gotta pay attention to as well. Like when knife guys get at you. In Arkham Knight, they introduced the Chargers, which is well, not the Chargers. It's more like just something normal enemies can do, which is where like they can tackle you to the ground. But if you were to either dodge out of the way or throw a batarang at them right as they're charging, it instantly takes them out. Well,
Hmm.
the dodging, you just jump over them, and that's like in any other enemy. Um, I remember playing It's the Batman Begins video game on the PS2. It was the most hilarious thing in the world because you'd hear like after you beat the game, you'd be given all like the alternate costumes, and a lot of them were like classic comic book costumes. So you just hear Christian Bale's voice coming out of like the '60s costume.
I
Alfred,
wish you could actually just get the voice packs and have Adam West voices coming out of like Batfleck.
dude, that'd be amazing. Well, Alfred.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Oh God. So
Which is the ending of Dark Knight Rises, to be fair, so I guess it actually works.
Dark Knight Rises, yeah, is literally the '60s. Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb. Um, in terms of oh yeah, I forgot about something. Hey guys, we watched WandaVision again.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on gaming, but this is like all three of us together.
Yeah, it
And I
was.
think we're pretty much on the same page, but from like slightly different angles. Slightly, because you're a
Mhm.
little bit more informed on like the comic book end of things. So you can kind of see where these things are coming from, whereas I just vaguely am aware of the fact that they're pulling from a meta that I don't know. And seeing as all I have to work with is what's on screen, nothing makes any goddamn sense.
Oh, and I don't even like that when it comes to things like when Mr. Sunday Movies says like, oh, Agatha's like Agnes is a magic user and Mephisto's gonna be in there, and now they're mentioning that Reed Richards built the little rover thing, and it's just like, could you not? Could you just use like when like what happened to the days where like instead of using constant meta knowledge, we just relied on the story that was being told in front of us?
I mean, it's kind of hilarious, and that's why we have mentioned Mr. Sunday Movies a couple times now, because he was the first one we saw do the Agnes is also a witch thing, but based on absolutely no evidence whatsoever. It's like his argument, I think, was just like, "Ooh, she's always around, and she's got plants, which is like plants, right?" And it was just this extreme reaching argument, and he turned out to be absolutely correct. So now it's just completely all theorizing is out the window. Mr. Sunday Movies is the prophet of this show. He's the one I'm defaulting to. So any theory he comes up with, I'm behind 100%, despite it making no sense.
Yeah, it's just tism. Like it's just like you're ready for fucking like oh god, John Krasinski's gonna be Mr. Fantastic. That's what they just keep saying.
I'm ready for it. I don't know where it's going to come from or like what it has to do with the show in any way whatsoever, but I'm ready for it. I have to be.
Yeah, you have to be if you really want like if you want this show to be any good apparently.
Oh, it still won't be good.
Oh yeah,
Not at all.
no
They
matter
threw
what's
that out the window. Like, even
yeah.
if that wasn't a problem, the show itself is broken. And the one of the bigger ones, if you remember from the last episode, I would say spoilers, but who fucking cares?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
The we see we get like this flashback sequence of Wanda's life, and it leads up to when she went into the sword compound to get Vision. Now, the entire show up until now has operated on the premise that she took Vision's body and brought it into the simulation and is like reanimating it somehow. Like that was the assumption. And even in the show, we show them tracking the radiation of decay coming from vibranium within the simulation. That's how they're keeping track of what's happening. But she never actually had the body. The entire
Hmm.
scene where she leaves the sword compound and she goes to Westview, I'm just like, did you forget something? I think you forgot something. Where's the body? I thought she had the body. And like, just over and over again, it's like, what the fuck is happening? And then, of course, it's not inconsistent. It's a twist. Because pulling cheap twists out of your arse at the last minute, that's good writing, right?
Yeah, it's the
As long
best
as it
writing ninja.
subverted my expectations.
I want that phrase to fucking die.
It almost did. But then this stuff happens, and it's like, we're right back to square one all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Phase 4 is going to be. Just this for the next 10 years.
And also, fucking that sword director, he just comes across as like the most incompetent motherfucker on the planet. Where he's just like, he was never yours, he's ours. Uh, we're just he just keeps antagonizing people. And
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
entire scene, he was saying exactly the right thing at every step along the way to provoke the worst reaction possible.
mm-hmm.
Almost like it was on purpose. Maybe he's Mephisto. You don't know. It's not inconsistent. It's another twist.
No. Just I take what you say and I just push it away, going no. Um, I don't know, Ninja. What do you think about this shit?
It's shit.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's just pretty bad.
If it's any consolation to all of us, though, the next episode will be the last one of this particular iteration of shit.
Unless Mr. Sunday Movies also has his way and there's like a hidden 10th episode.
That would be really weird to do. It's like just as a twist, yeah, I guess it works, but as an actual production thing, you announce these things ahead of time so that they can be scheduled and broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's nothing to do with the narrative or the story or anything like that. That's just the business end of things. Although
Right.
it is Disney, so like the rules are at the fucking window.
Then we got
Well, as far as the broadcasting schedule goes, now that everything's direct to streaming, they don't have to worry about that as much. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
this.
and it's their own streaming service as well, so yeah.
Yeah.
But then, guys, we got fucking Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Not
I
excited.
honestly don't know how much of a shit I even give about seeing how bad it is because we saw the trailer and it looks like the first Marvel thing to try to copy Zack Snyder. Like that looks like the vibe it's going for and it's cringe.
That's pretty.
It's
That's
it's
pretty
so edgy
dangerous.
and look how cool we are and trying too hard. Bruh, this is what DC was doing when they were failing to compete with you. What the fuck?
Stop copying the thing that is your lesser.
See, I wasn't getting Zack Snyder vibes. I was getting like edgy, sort of like we're funny, but we're also very like urban and hip and almost like I don't know. I'm trying to find something to compare it to, but it felt like it was aimed at a very specific demographic.
It kind of felt a little bit like edgy Born, like because if they're trying to tap in the same vein that was Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was just basically a spy movie with superheroes.
Yeah, it's like spy movie, but with comedy added to it and rap music as the sort of aesthetic, and it's like,
Right.
huh, okay.
You know, thinking about it for a second, I think I actually know where I'm getting the Zack Snyder comparison from. Do you remember the Justice League trailer? Do you remember Aquaman in the Justice League trailer?
My man.
That's the exact tone that I was getting from that Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. That's where I'm getting the comparison from.
Yeah, but Aquaman going my man that's a Joss Whedon thing.
And it's not just the my man, it's the tone. It's the tone of the whole thing. It's like his style of joke, the delivery, having it juxtaposed against all the trying too hard to be cool backdrop,
Mm-hmm.
all of it together. That's the vibe. I don't know. It's gonna be shit, but I guess we should probably see like the first episode and decide if we want to do the same with WandaVision, where we stick around to have a take on how bad it is. Because if it's going to be as bad, if it's going to be at the same tier as where we are now with WandaVision, it's just not even worth it, man.
In terms of
Not even for topics to cover.
yeah,
Unless we start seeing it being talked about a lot and the video essays, at which point maybe it's worth checking out just to, see what the conversation is. But if
fucking
it's just going to be like this, where barely anyone's talking about it, and those few people who are just the consumers who just gobble up anything Marvel, I don't see why I would put in the effort.
what's weird
Not when
is
it's this much hard work to actually sit through an episode.
mm-hmm. What's weird is with like something like WandaVision, we're genuinely seeing like what is what is essentially like the EFAP audience, like the people that we are associated with most of the time, and they're just gobbling this shit down.
Are they?
Oh well, we got some people in EFAP posting, are just saying like it's good. We got some of the people from Ecom saying that it's good. I've just from what I've been paying attention, like they're like people that I like us that should be saying it's shit are saying it's good, or at the very least used to be saying it's good. In the case of somebody who will be featured later. Um,
Because just from what I remember, I pay a lot less attention to these groups than you do. But I remember when the first 3 episodes were going on, we were on the other side. We were the ones saying, "It's like, no, actually, this is it's interesting. It's worth checking out." But most people were saying, "It's like, literally, who fucking cares?" And nobody was watching it.
mhm.
And then, as a little time went on, episode 4 came out, and that's when everything just started turning around. And by episode 5, we had changed sides completely, but now saying it was bad was the controversial take along
Yeah,
most people. So it's a really weird thing. So I think there will be some interesting videos out of it.
yeah. Uh, it just causes like the big sigh that it's just shit. It's just shit. Um, so would you rather deal with this constant stream of Marvel or the upcoming constant stream of Star Wars? We're gonna be dealing.
Both make me want to kiss an oncoming train.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah.
like you got Mando, then we're gonna have Ahsoka, then we're gonna have the Bad Batch, then we're gonna have Rogue Squadron. And it's just like, stop it, stop it. we
Okay,
get
of the two, if we generously assume they will both be equal in quality, even then, I think the Star Wars ones will be a little bit more interesting.
I guess Mando's just gonna be shit even more so without Cara Dune. Um, I don't even know what they could be doing if they're finally just gonna go on space bounty hunter adventures, considering Mando doesn't have the child anymore,
It
or if
might just be a Monster of the Week thing, with like an ongoing arc for him if they feel competent that morning.
that just then
It
what
would
are
be
we?
formulaic, but if they keep it simple enough, maybe they'll get it right.
You think they'll do like cutaways, like meanwhile at the Jedi Temple, and just shows Grogu throwing a stone at Luke?
I think they will do some kind of catch up. I don't think they're just gonna. And Grogu went back to his home planet, and we just never see him again.
then Ben Solo fucking murdered the shit out of him.
Oh no, we don't talk about that because we don't think about implications anymore. That's not a thing for these shows.
Implications, what's that? Consequences, what's that? Ugh. Um. So on today's topic, what do you guys think about Batman '89?
Overall, pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
There's some things that, on rewatch with a more critical eye that they stood out as a bit odd, a little bit broken, but overall, the really hyper stylized comic book logic tone, pretty consistent overall. and it works a lot. And also, Michael Keaton's just a really good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I
It's a lot of
oddly
fun to
enough, I
watch.
really liked his Bruce Wayne. I we kept laughing at certain things like when normal people they wake up and then they eat breakfast. It's just like
Oh yeah, and they go to and he pauses job, and I actually just fucking laughed. Like, did he literally just forget what a job was?
they go to their job.
But the fact that we can just see something like that and read Bruce Wayne, not Michael Keaton at all, he completely disappears into the character. It's like,
Yeah,
mwah, perfect. That's what we want.
it's a
And I think the line I used was he has that perfect balance of swagger and social awkwardness that Bruce Wayne actually would.
yeah. Um, in terms of like, he's also very human, down to earth as well. Like when him and Vicky are eating dinner at the long table, like, did you pass the salt? He has to walk all the way over. I asked like if he even knew this room existed. And then it's just like, you want to get out of here? And then they just go eat with Alfred.
Yeah, they could just go to the kitchen, to the one room in the house that actually feels like home. It's
Hmm.
like, yes, that's a very nice humanizing moment. It's
Yeah.
all those little things that we didn't get with Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm. Or even with Batfleck. Like, here's the thing. When you think about it, we barely see any of the Wayne side of that Batman. It's
I
like,
mean, we didn't have time. He never got his own movie.
well, true. Well, I don't think that we were gonna get that even in Ben Affleck's Batman movie. It was gonna be
Probably not.
basically an Arkham Asylum ripoff. So it was just like, okay, I guess we weren't, because like even in Arkham City, you spent a little bit of time as Bruce Wayne before you donned the cowl. Um, though, I'm trying. Why do I always forget his fucking name? The guy from Batman Forever, the one,
Which guy?
the one who was Batman, the one that replaced Michael Keaton. I always forget his name.
George Clooney?
No, that was Batman and Robin.
Oh, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, thank you. Um, Val Kilmer's Batman's okay. It's been,
Honestly, don't remember him very much. I think we might need to do a rewatch.
yeah, we basically need to rewatch all of them because a
Mhm.
lot of people say that like Batman Returns is like what killed Tim Burton's thing. A lot of people said it was too dark, and it was just like, yes,
Which is odd because I said this when we were watching, when we were just talking about these off stream, that Batman Returns as a kid, that was my favorite.
mm-hmm,
Because, everything after it was too colorful, and the Batman before it was a little bit too clunky for me, whereas this was like that perfect blend. It was polished, but it was dark, it was edgy, it was all twisted and fucked up. It was This let Batman be something that no other superhero I was watching at that age could be. So like the
mm-hmm,
edge was never too much for me. It was unique. It was a nice flavor.
yeah.
Watching it now, I don't know how I'll feel. I guess we'll find out.
I enjoyed the fact that while it was dark, it also had its like tiny sense of humor. Like when the people are throwing tomatoes at Penguin, he's always like, "How is it that no matter what the rally is, somebody always has fruit?"
It
Uh,
does have jokes. It has loads of jokes. I
mm-hmm.
I think the darkness that or the over the top edginess that everyone gets, it just comes from how disgusting Penguin is
Yeah,
and how
Penguin's just
BDSM
fucking gross.
Catwoman is.
Oh yeah, that's you see Catwoman, and you're just like, something is going on, and I do not know what. Uh,
I'm just gonna file that mental image away for a decade from now.
yeah. It's like Community. I really hope this doesn't spark something in me. Uh, so oh god, so today we're gonna be covering High Top. When was the last time we covered him? I think it was when we were with
A
Evan.
few weeks ago, at least.
Yeah, we were with Evan talking about Batman Begins. So now, he has a opinion that that Batman '89 is a bad Batman movie, and I would counter with that by saying no, it's actually really good.
Yeah, overall, it's pretty fucking good.
And if you're
It's at least on par with everything else, if not a little better than most. So, yeah. And when he actually has the, it's a bad Batman movie. He's got the Batman capitalized for emphasis.
yeah, it's like when people say like Last Jedi is an okay movie, but it's a bad Star Wars movie. And it's like no, it fundamentally is broken as a movie.
Yeah, and a lot of their arguments try to treat it as a standalone rather than like the ninth part of an ongoing story. It's a whole lot of broken. But yeah, when he says it's a bad Batman movie, where do you think he's gonna go with the argument?
I think he's gonna bring up the killing, and the thing is, like, for the most part, yeah, Batman doesn't kill in that movie. Then the third act just drops, and he's just murdering people left and right.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and it happens after he has the realization that Jack Napier is the one who actually shot his parents, and then he just goes fucking nuclear. But we
yeah,
don't actually see him change emotionally. It's just he remembers it. He's like, huh. And then Vicky shows up in the Batcave. There's a whole moment. And then when we cut back to him doing Batman stuff, he's blowing up a chemical plant.
yeah, and like. The Batmobile was surrounded by people when he unleashed those bombs that blew up the chemical plant. So it's just like, oh,
Hmm.
those guys are paste. Like,
And then when he comes in on the bat plane, and we zoom in, first we see missiles, and we were all like, "Whoa!" And then fucking Gatling guns come out of it. We're like,
you
"What
fucking
the?"
you tweeted that. You were like, I keep this for
Oh
like
yeah,
home
the battling
defense.
gun.
Yeah. It's like the bat scythe or the bat axes.
Yeah, all of it kind of. It doesn't unnerve me. I just don't like it conceptually. Again, it's the implications. You got to think about those. They matter.
Oh yeah, implications matter a shit ton. Um Alright, I think we're good to get onto the video. Turn that off.
So we think he's going to bring up the killing. Do we have
Ah.
any idea what else?
So I
I
saw
think he's gonna bring the killing. I think he's gonna want to bring up how the Joker creating Batman, uh, possibly. I
Oh, that is something worth mentioning, actually. The fact that
yeah.
Jack Napier is the one who killed his parents, I don't like that. I've
Oh, I've never
never
liked
liked
that
that.
either.
The idea that it was just an anonymous, random, normal criminal was always kind of important because it's like just the crime-ridden nature of Gotham is what killed his parents. If you give him a specific person he can focus the anger on, it kind of takes away his whole crusade. It just
Mm-hmm.
gives him an actual target.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never actually liked that person being named who does it.
Oh, you don't even like it when
Even
it's
in
Joe. You don't even like it when it's Joe Chill.
yeah, not even then.
Hmm.
The fact that there is a specific person that he can put a face on, it's a problem
So you
because
so you like it
psychologically it
when
just means his obsession would be on them. Whereas the fact that it was just someone, it was a mugger, anonymous, one of thousands that exist in that city, that means that the thing his obsession goes to is just crime itself. It's just Gotham needs to be better so that stops happening
yeah
rather than a specific person.
I can agree with that. Oh, I need to turn this up. All right, let's start the video.
Batman 1989 again. I've watched it at least 200 times in my 19 years of existing, but not in at least 3 or 4 years. I always thought it was aesthetically beautiful. I mean, look at this. And I still believe that
Of all the shots you show that. We're like
Yeah, I mean, I
17
agree
seconds
with
in.
the statement. The statement is true. It's a really fucking good looking movie most of the time.
Yeah, but then he shows him just walking into the church to confront Joker, Like just showing this shot is better than just that. Or the shot
Even
of
some of the scenes of the Joker actually dancing in the moonlight with Vicky, like that would have been a nice one to pick.
yeah. Or fuck it. That shot with the hand drawn cape animation.
Maybe not that one. The effects, none of them have aged well.
Oh yeah.
I
Especially
mean, I think my
regarding the bat suit.
top picks for bad effects in that movie has to be the hand drawn cape animation at the beginning, the claymation car armor, or the VFX electrocution of the gangster guy. So each
Yeah.
of those is kind of priceless in their own way.
Elfman's score is the only Batman theme there is.
No, you'll hear Batman's theme. Batman has only had one theme, your theme. Yeah.
But seeing
No. I'm sorry. A little thing that's constantly known through fiction. No. Like the fucking Adam West one. What the hell?
Yeah, that's his theme. If he said leitmotif, then I might have given it to him. But yeah, no, Batman has had more than one iconic theme.
Mm-hmm. Well, Batman's only had one theme. Kind of go fuck yourself then, Danny Elfman. Ugh. Alright.
I mean, I'll forgive him for being smug. He did a fucking bang up job. It's just that statement, doubt. Although Spider-Man has only ever had one theme song.
Like the Toby thing, or like his.
No, Spider-Man. It's like
Yeah, well,
that
yeah,
one. That's the
yeah.
only theme song he's ever had. No leitmotif, no theme music, no piece of score that's ever been in any movie that Spider-Man's in is as iconic as that.
That is true. To the point that the movies keep trying to integrate it either into the soundtrack or just the movie itself.
Either that or they'll do a dubstep cover of Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Ugh. I'm still mad about that.
I still find it hilarious.
seeing it again, seeing it as an old jaded man, I now realize that Batman is not a good
He's like my age. I think he's younger than all three of us.
I honestly have no idea.
He's an old jaded man. You're like fucking 23.
Batman movie. Yes, it's one of these videos again, and let me clarify again that this and all the content on this channel is my opinion. And like assholes, everyone has one. I think we need to acknowledge something before we start. Batman 89
Okay,
was
so no criticizing him. No, everybody stop. Nobody's allowed to criticize him.
Yeah.
It's just an opinion. Even if the opinion is based on statements that are factually incorrect, it's still just an opinion.
Oh god.
It's pure subjective.
God, did you watch fucking Y.A.R.P yesterday?
Oh yeah, I was listening
when-
while I was playing Vermintide.
Yeah, well, fucking Twin Perfect came on, and just fucking, he just kept doing that. It's like it's my opinion. It's what I like, and it's like at
Yeah,
one point,
and
Rags just
Mother
fucking
was
ripped him apart.
trying to meet him halfway. It's just like trying to point out that he's conflating two different things as the same thing, and that's where the misunderstanding is coming from. But he just refused to engage in the conversation in any way whatsoever. And at first, when Rags was giving him shit, I was just like, whoa, hold on, let him piss you off first, god damn. But then he just kept going, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, yeah, no, Rags is right, this is bullshit, it's painful.
Yeah, at one point when Twin Perfect was mentioned, if you're fans of the comics, and Rags just started just going no, and like as he was continuing talking, Rags just continued went no, hoping that would just stop his argument, because just if you're a fan of the comics, that shouldn't change a damn thing. Like as somebody who does like the comics, that still makes Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel complete shit.
If you're such a fan of the comics, seeing the adaptation being done poorly should be worse for you. You
Yeah,
should be more angry than anybody.
That's why hardcore comic fans get so angry about Civil War, because of how inaccurate it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Or Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, I'll legit, I kind of do pull a bit of a double standard because of how inaccurate it is. To like things like Planet Hulk, I flat out just dismiss.
Yeah.
Working
Which,
on
you
it.
know, I will always call you out for pulling the adaptation card because it's not
Right.
Planet Hulk.
I
It's a whole
know.
different thing. But yeah, I get it.
I know. I know it's like it's supposed to not be Planet Hulk, but I see so much from Planet Hulk, and they're just like, but it's a Thor movie. I'm just like, half like 90% of your homework was Planet Hulk, you assholes.
Without question, helped create every single thing we love about Batman. Without Burton's Batman, there would be no gothic nightmarish Gotham, there would be no animated series, which means no Kevin Conroy, which means no Mark Hamill, which means no Arkham games, which means Batman would still be considered goofy by the general audiences. Also, without Batman and Batman Returns, there would be no Batman Forever, which means no Batman and Robin.
Okay, so basically he's saying without this there wouldn't be anything. And it's like
To a certain extent, I agree.
so
To a certain extent, like the comics were dark. There were dark Batman comics before Tim Burton. He didn't
Yeah.
make it dark, but he did bring that to the forefront in a way that none of the comics could.
I was also
So
going to
it's
say
influential as all hell, but yeah.
yeah, it helped break the TV mold because when when everybody was seeing Batman at that time, all they had, our parents' generation had, was the Adam West show, which was like the goofy and silly, like the Bat Shark repellent or the fucking the surfing competition, or Batman running around with a gigantic bomb. Then suddenly Burton comes in and Batman just fucking blows up a chemical plant and fucking shoots Gatling guns and smacks faces, going like, "You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts."
Trying to out crazy the Joker.
It didn't work.
I think it's kind of good that they showed us like very early on him trying to do that because he's an unbalanced man himself. He's not used to going up against other people more crazy than him.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Like, there's only so far that you can like give the credit to before it just becomes its own thing.
But like I said, overall, I agree that it's very, very influential. So saying we wouldn't have these things without it, yeah, maybe that's a bit hyperbolic. It's like we probably wouldn't have had them nearly as soon or for as long, or they would look very different because they're based on a different thing. But yeah, it's like it was influential as absolute fuck, and it deserves the credit for that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of like saying, if I pull this brick out of the Jenga tower, it's going to fall. Well, yeah, because you're pulling the one that was at the bottom.
Yeah,
You're literally pulling the starting point.
it was foundational.
Yeah.
All right, go.
To kill the franchise, which means no Nolan Batman, which means no Dark Knight, which means no Man of Steel, which means no BVS, which means no Justice League.
Okay,
Yeah.
Now we've lost it.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I think he was going with
this
the joke.
no longer sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, oh no.
It's like, which means we wouldn't have had this, we wouldn't have this, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's like without this, we wouldn't have had those really good things, or at least we wouldn't have had them soon, blah 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 blah. But then it's like, and without those, we wouldn't have had all these other things where it starts devolving into absolute shit, and we're like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have been that bad if it didn't happen. Oh well.
Also, I can't help but be reminded because he did the whole thing about it's my opinion, man, it's my opinion. Look at the fucking title.
Yeah, Batman '89 is a bad Batman movie. Yeah, it's fucking.
That's not an opinionated statement.
Yeah, that's
it's a
factual.
declarative fact.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So fuck Batman 89. I'm joking. The point of that rant is for you to understand that to make this video, I have to come out and say that I'm not denying the cultural influence and the Batman influence that the 1989 film has. Plain and simple. The film is and will always be a generation-defining classic that reinvented the superhero genre. That being said, taking a look back at the film,
I don't think it reinvented the superhero genre because the superhero genre was just starting. We had the lightheartedness and the charm of the 70s Superman movies, and then now we had the dark not realistic, the dark comic booky version of Gotham City with Batman.
Didn't
Well,
we also have other superhero things from the 80s as well, though?
if he's referring to the fact that a lot of the earlier superhero content, like the Superman movies, like the Adam West Batman, was basically pulling from the golden era content,
Right.
like the old Superman cartoons, like that level of comic adaptation.
Mhm.
Whereas this was a more modern approach to it. So you could say that it was a big shift in the genre. I wouldn't say it reinvented it, but it was definitely a tonal shift.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that wasn't for kids.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it had McDonald's toys.
Well, I mean,
Well,
so did
that's
RoboCop.
always going to be a thing. Like
I
that's
know.
just always going to be a marketing thing. They
I mean,
wanted.
the 80s were just the Wild West when it came to marketing tie-ins.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
fucking RoboCop had a children's TV show.
Well, do you remember some of the cartoons from the fucking 90s, man, that had toys and shit for them that were not remotely appropriate for children?
Refresh my memory because
Ren and Stimpy, Rocco's Modern Life. I
oh
mean, just
yeah. Oh god.
these were
Did
not
Ren
things
and
that should have
Stimpy
been.
have toys? I just remember that
Oh,
being one of those
dude.
really weird cartoons you'd see
Oh,
after
yes.
10 p.m.
There's a lot of merch for that.
Neat.
Have you guys seen the Rocco's Modern Life reboot that happened?
It was shit.
It was
No. Rocco's Modern Life wasn't something I watched originally, so I never bothered.
same.
It was really shit.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
As somebody who did watch the original show, it was shit.
I do not doubt it for a second.
Wait till they bring back Recess and like fucking.
Oh no, do not touch that show. That is no.
It's happening.
That would
And,
actually
like-
mean something to me. Leave it alone.
Everybody's got the diverse haircut. Everybody's oh, it's gonna be about like somebody wanting to transition when they're like.
Yeah,
11.
somebody's gonna come out as trans, somebody's gonna come out as poly, somebody's gonna come out as non-binary. It's gonna be great.
No, Gretchen isn't going to be a scientist anymore. She's going to be like, I don't know, a free spirit artist who doesn't believe in formal education.
Nope, she's gonna be a political activist.
Yeah.
I am Greta.
What about the oh, who was the old lady teacher that was constantly involved, and then there was the kid that would constantly.
Finkelstein, I think.
Yeah.
It began with an F.
She's gonna be like an older black woman now.
You know what's going to be really weird? If they tried to do that really woke teacher they had, who actually, I went back and watched some of that show. Know the black teacher they had, the one with the glasses, the really hippie girl?
Yeah.
That teacher was saying like actual current year woke shit to the class back then. I have no idea how they would even try to update that without it being so weird. Because if they try to make everybody like that, what the fuck did they make her? Where have they got left to go? Because that was the whole
She's
point.
I was going to say that, and they talk about robots. Robots
She's
are gonna have
fucking.
genitals.
She's exactly the same as she used to be, but now she's militant
Because
because she has to be one step farther than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, yeah, I don't want them touching that show. One of that show's greatest points is just how actually diverse it was. You had like every different kind of person. Even if they didn't, they didn't exactly call themselves what they would later in life because it was a kid's show and it was also the 90s. You couldn't have kids on TV being like, I'm a raging homosexual. Even though the fat guy, the big one, the theater nerd, come on, we all knew.
We all knew.
Yeah, but like that's even going back to even before the 90s and 80s when you had
How dare
guys
you
like that.
assume his sexuality?
I mean, everybody did. But that's the thing. Like when it came to theater and thespians and guys a little bit too into their tap dancing, it's like we always knew. They just weren't allowed to be public about it, and that's what kind of changed. For the better, to be clear. They shouldn't have to hide it. It's just once it became a statement, it became a statement that a lot of people wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
but I think it will eventually quieten down once it becomes more normal. You know, actual normalization, not performative doing it because current year.
Batman.
Oh yeah, Batman.
Now,
Do not touch
Batman
Recess,
is
though, please.
What?
It's just praying that they don't touch Recess. Because that there are very few of these things that will make me actually angry and upset versus just enjoying the train wreck, and that
Dude,
is one of them.
Dude, they've
No
already
IP is
touched.
safe.
Dude, they've already touched the stuff that I've liked, like fucking Kim Possible. They made the live action movie. Ugh.
Aren't they going to do a Space Jam as well?
Yep.
Yep, it's gonna be
Like,
a HBO
LeBron
Max.
fucking James.
I
LeBron
cannot fucking
James.
wait to see what they did to the OG furry maker, Lola Bunny.
No,
She's
she
gonna have
can't
the
be
diverse
sexual
haircut.
anymore.
They
Women
just
aren't allowed to have boobs.
no, they just embrace it, and Lola's just got giant tits. It's just like, okay, no, stop it.
Oh my god, they actually just get a bunch of furry artists to make the entire thing, and it looks so fucking broken and weird. That would be funnier.
Just fucking. It's like the it's like the scene in Crystal Skull with all the information going into Kate Blanchett's eyes.
Just 2 full hours of cursed imagery.
Yeah. Oh god, if they ever touched Ed, Ed and Eddie, I'd be so fucking pissed.
Didn't they do that already?
What do you mean?
Are they not doing a newer version of Ed, Ed and Eddie? I thought I saw
No.
that.
They
in
just re-released it on HBO.
No, yeah, we're just
Ah.
yeah, you could just watch it on HBO. And I watched it for just a little bit before we started, like a couple
They
days
did
ago.
ruin Powerpuff Girls.
They did do that.
Uh,
There's actually I can't remember who did it, but there was once that started, there's a really fucking good video that actually explains why it doesn't work and how like the violence and the brutality of the original show is what made it so fucking good.
Also, it's
Because
really
that show is violent as all hell.
also it's really
That's
weird.
why
that-
everybody liked it.
It's really weird that the romance that Blossom has, that person looks exactly like one of the creators. So it's just like oh, you sick fuck.
I think that actually is from the original. That's like one of the original self-inserts, and it was really weird, and everybody called it out at the time.
Yeah, it's just like because let's fucking what else? Ben 10's been fucking rebooted like 1,700 times.
I was too old when that show first came out to ever give a shit. Are they ever going to
Yeah.
do anything with Dexter's Lab? Because that kind of was just a
I don't
golden
think
show
Kennedy's
of its
gonna let him
time.
touch it. He's got
Nice.
enough pull that I doubt they'll fuck with his shit because he's got the current one is Primal, but I mean he's got Samurai Jack. You know, they're so interested in keeping his IPs around that they won't do anything to piss him off.
Good.
So he's
That may be
safe
good.
for now, at least.
For now.
Yeah. He was also involved in Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, neat.
Huh.
I heard the last season of Samurai Jack was apparently not as good, which is weird because I actually, from what I saw, which was just brief little instances on like my parents' TV at the time, it was like it seemed decent. They actually brought legit violence into Samurai Jack, like with actual.
That's where a
blood.
lot of people said it like lost it, you know, but I liked it. I think it was good.
It was, what?
It's
It was
pretty
just-
Yeah, I liked the original show, and then the more modern season 5, I think. I liked that too. I don't know if there's an actual finale to it, because where I left off, I don't think it was finished.
There is. It finished. He killed a coup.
Okay, so I actually have a bit to catch up on. I suppose
Yeah.
I'll get back.
No spoilers, but
I mean, bruh.
You son of a bitch.
If
I
he
just-
didn't
I just-
kill Akio at the end, that would be.
yeah.
I would want something real good as a replacement, because holy shit.
No, I just say that and suddenly a kunai goes over my head. Fuck. Sorry.
So, Batman.
Batman.
And High Top.
Not a good Batman movie. So like the Homecoming video, Batman is not a good Batman movie for 3 big reasons.
Okay, so
Okay, let's have a look.
the character of Bruce Wayne.
That's
the
one of
J-
the best things in the movie. That Jesus Christ, that's not the angle you want to take on it. It's the
the
Joker.
gets a bit
The
tismy near
fact
the
that he
end.
kills the
I'm
parents,
gonna put
some of the things he
money
does.
down right now that he's gonna compare him to Heath and say he's not as good as Heath.
And I'm this is gonna
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple arguments he can take there. It's like if he goes with the origin is Tismy, whereas Heath Ledger's Joker not having an origin is really good. That's not a good comparison. It's like
Yeah,
you're halfway there, but I don't know. If
I
he compares
like
him to
the
the animated
idea
version,
of
maybe we'll
Joker's
have something.
origin story up until they bring it around and connect it with him killing Batman's parents. Like,
yeah.
but the idea of man creating the Joker, and we know where he came from, and he was already an established part of this universe. I like that. It makes him feel more real. Whereas
Yeah, especially
Ledger
because
just comes from nowhere.
the way Batman makes him is by failing to save him. Like that's a
Yes.
really good touch.
I very much like that too. I was like, hey guys, look, he's trying to save Jack Napier here. He just fails to save him. And
Well,
And
yeah, because
that's what
that gives him the ability to blame Batman for all of his problems forever.
and
Right.
explains the obsession he has with him. It's like, yeah, all of this connects. It's wrapped up very nicely. So yeah, except for that one admittedly very big thing, the Joker's pretty fucking good in this movie.
Falling in love with
Um,
Vicky Vale, I always said was a bit weird.
She's
Yeah.
pretty, and I mean, I get it from the sense that they wanted there to be conflict between him and Bruce, and
Yeah.
know, it does make the world of Gotham feel a little bit smaller, but I mean,
It does. And because we have some precedent, like him seeing just this insanely beautiful woman and deciding, I'm gonna have her. It's like, yeah, that from what we've seen of that character, that tracks.
Also,
He's that
yeah.
kind of pig.
also
But
Jack,
just it being her.
also Jack clearly has a thing for blondes when he,
well, yeah, that's kind of the point is that he's already established to go after things that he can't have or shouldn't have,
right.
and it definitely qualifies as his type. So it doesn't seem like a huge leap when you take all that into account.
Right, it just feels a little love triangle-y, even though part of the triangle is only one-sided, because Vicky does not have affection for the Joker.
Yeah, it's not really a love triangle, it's just setting her up to be the damsel at the end.
Uh-huh.
She becomes a source of conflict.
And needs to be rescued. Yes, she actually, more think of it, she is like the classic damsel in distress in a lot of ways.
She really is.
But she actually, unlike that, and that's only towards the end of the movie now I'm thinking about it, because for a lot of it, she's like one of the people actively investigating Batman. She's involved in the plot in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because
It's
most
just
people don't
as soon
believe
as
he exists.
she crosses paths with the Joker, she kind of runs out of things to do because she's basically powerless. The only thing she really does is she gets information from Batman to the press.
She does have that one really good line though.
Which one? She's got a lot of good lines.
Where he's like, "Do I look like I'm joking?" And she's like, "Well."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good moment.
Like,
do I look like I'm joking? Big fucking smile up to his ears, like little.
I like how Jake brought up in chat. It's like I like how HiTop doesn't apply the same standard he does with Wonder Woman or Birds of Prey. And it's just
no,
like,
because why would his
no.
opinions need to be consistent? They're opinions.
Yeah.
They're nebulous. They can be whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, and the one we haven't touched on that's on screen there is studio interference. I don't know anything about that. Do you?
I do. But that's only because like I researched the ever-loving shit out of this kind of stuff.
That is always like the weakest fucking argument, though.
Yeah, it's always the weakest argument. The only time where it's a big factor is something like Suicide Squad, where the studio just went trailer.
Even then,
people, you guys make the movie.
Even then, I don't see it as being that much. Like I wouldn't put it front and center in my arguments to be like, this is why this is a bad movie.
I wouldn't either, but I think I would take like a second to acknowledge it. Like if I were to suddenly make a Justice League video tomorrow, I'd be like, all right, let's just get this out of the way. At least like with something like Snyder Cut, it's not gonna deal with the bullshit of like having to deal with two directors' visions clashing, or with something like Suicide Squad, it'd be like, all right, let's acknowledge the fact that the studio just decided to hire a trailer company to edit the movie. Like,
It
Yeah.
helps to explain how it ended up being a bad movie. It has absolutely fuck all to do with why it's a bad movie.
yeah, I don't want to like it because the quality, like the Snyder Cut, is still gonna be shit. But at least
Well, and
it'll
at
be
the end of the
consistently shit.
day, they still chose to release it like that.
Yeah.
They still had final say so over the final edit of the film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we'll see where he goes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he goes bottom left, bottom right, and then top in order of argumentation.
Yeah, because if he starts with studio interference and be like, "This is your weakest argument," so you either start with it or
Unless
end
he
with it.
thinks he's going to start with weakest first and build up to the things that he considers to break the movie, which will probably be Joker. So I'm thinking he's going to go top, left, right.
Mm-hmm.
The character of Bruce Wayne.
Damn it!
Okay.
Howdy.
So this Bruce Wayne is actually really fucking good.
Yeah, he is. Now, he does look awkward as absolute fuck in this suit because the mask is too big for his head. All of his
Oh,
facial
man, but
expressions are
could
really
you
weird.
picture like Keaton doing old man Bruce like now?
Oh,
He could
I want that
absolutely
movie.
pull it off.
I want that
He
movie
kind
so
of
fucking
did in
bad.
Birdman.
Like
Yeah.
I want fucking there's been like rumors that they're gonna just revisit the Burton universe and fucking just have I don't know if they said Nicholson and Keaton, but they said they were gonna bring in Keaton and revisit all that stuff. I do want to see what that old man Bruce would look like. Would he still be wearing this rubber
Oh,
ass
I
suit?
would absolutely take like old man Keaton and then Nicolas Cage is old man Superman in that same universe.
Fuck it, yeah. Dude.
Yeah. Although if they did a Batman Forever thing, where you get like a Tim Burtonized future Gotham, and Keaton as old man Batman in that, I think that would put him in real nicely.
What's kind of like I was kind of thinking about this because in the Arkham games, the Justice League is a thing, and I was like, how do you do the like? And you mentioned if you were gonna make that, you would bring in Nicolas Cage Superman, and I was like, would that confuse the hell out of the audience? And I'm like, no, as long as you explain it properly and also just kind of roll with it, it'd be perfectly fine. Because that's
Well, how would it confuse the audience? Because
they'd
if you're
be
doing
like,
it from scratch,
well, because
where
most
it's just a new version.
Well, because most people would assume that it's in the same universe as 89, and as far as 89 fans are concerned, Superman does not exist.
I don't
He's
think
neither
the
mentioned
fans are
or
that specific about it.
yeah.
It's like you don't have like a dedicated group of people that are the 89 fans, and that's like the continuity to latch onto. You just got people like us who know them across all these different iterations.
Right.
So as soon as we see the new thing, oh, the assumption is that it's a new iteration from scratch. It's just got the same director and the same style.
Right. I don't know. I'd
And
like
even
it.
if it was continuity from 89, they never specifically said anything about any other heroes.
Mhm.
Well, right.
So nothing is off the table.
Well, then it creates the problem of like do we actually consider all four of those films to be canon from 89 to Batman and Robin? Like they have the same Alfred, the same Gordon, but do we all consider them like actually like other than Batman Returns, which is of course definitely a sequel to 89? Are Forever and Batman and Robin actually considered to be the same continuity? Because
I
Batman and
kind of
Robin,
think of them all as standalones, to be honest. Because
I
I mean, just from
kinda
seeing them
thought
as a
of-
kid, I just never connect them as an ongoing overall story.
mm-hmm.
I put this one and Returns together, and then
Yeah.
the other two together.
All right. Because I was gonna say by that point in the, because of course there's the famous line in Batman and Robin, "This is why Superman works alone." Which by the way, that breaks the fucking universe. Mr. Freeze is fucking, icing over all of Gotham. I don't think Superman is just hanging out on the Daily Planet and he just hears
I
that.
don't know.
It's like,
I hate the argument that like just because he's Superman, he's got to be involved in every fucking thing all the goddamn time.
Yeah,
Like there
he's got his
are
own day to
limits to.
save.
Yeah, there's other shit going on in the world / universe. Like he cannot be in all places at all times.
right.
Like, Batman's a hero himself. He should be able to handle his own shit.
Right. I guess that's more of an argument for when things are really, like, really shit hits the
Oh yeah,
fan.
when it's like a planet-ending threat, yeah, then it's time to fucking.
Or I was
get
gonna
up.
say when it's like the fundamental like foundation of the city about to be fucked over, like in Arkham Knight, like Gotham has a very much the possibility of being like ripped to utter shreds, and we know the Justice League exists. Plus, Batman's losing his fucking mind because the Joker is like taking over his brain and shit, and it's just like, the Justice League would be a very big help here. Martian Manhunter.
Well, you're always gonna have that. That's always gonna be a thing that's always gonna exist.
Right, and that was like what most people pointed out was the issue with a lot of Phase 2 stuff. How it's like, where's Iron Man? Where's Hulk during the whole Hydra stuff? Or
They
the same
could
with
have
Iron
done
Man
a
3.
better job of showcasing that all of those movies were happening at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
That was what people were confused about because you had these movies coming out, 6 months to a year apart,
Right.
but timeline-wise, they're all happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I believe Iron Man 2 and even the first Thor movie, they are actually happening downright at the same time. I think even Incredible Hulk as well. Alright. Bruce Wayne.
The movie isn't about Batman. I honestly believe that Alexander.
What? That was a...
He knows they're the same person, right? Do we have to start from like
It's
that
the
level of
Anakin
fundamental?
Vader argument. They're two different characters.
Oh god,
Hey.
I fucking hate that argument. It's like, and when you treat them as completely separate, oh, this movie's about Batman, but this movie's about Bruce Wayne. It's like, no. The fact that they are the same person is a source of his entire internal conflict. If you try to separate them out, you're gonna end up with a shallow character. This is 101, guys. Come on.
Like in fucking Man of Steel when they say he's like, oh, he's Kal-El from Krypton. It's like, not the point, people. like it's like
no, he isn't.
yeah, it's like no, you're missing the point of who he fundamentally is. Ugh.
So yeah, focusing more on Bruce than Batman is a good thing for his character. And because he's the protagonist, the more you focus on him, the better. Unless he's just saying, like, per runtime, there was too much looking at him not in the suit. Which, if it was excessive, could be an argument, but it's really not. We see him is in his normal clothes, being Bruce Wayne, doing his investigations, his double life, the secret identity, and then when it's time to go out and do shit, he puts on the suit. I think they're as balanced as you need to be.
I was actually Jake actually in chat said like doesn't Bruce consider Batman to be his real identity? At least in the movies, that wasn't addressed until Batman Begins. In these movies beforehand, it was very much considered like a balancing act. Like it was.
I would say we do kind of see it in this movie as well, because it's only the beginning that you see him in the main house. Only when he first meets Vicky. Anytime you see him on his own and there's nothing else going on, he's in the Batcave. That's where he's comfortable. So, yeah, that theory is still here.
Still say that Batman is the primary identity, but the idea is that it's two faces attached to one body. It's the whole, we all wear a mask. You can't separate them and say, well, Batman and Bruce are different characters. It's like, no, with no Bruce Wayne, there is no Batman, and vice versa.
Yeah, and this goes for almost all superheroes. You can't have Superman without Clark Kent, because that's who his fundamental identity is. You can't have Spider-Man without Peter Parker.
And the Bruce Wayne aspect is where we get all of our actual humanization, like the motivations, like the things he cares about. Everything behind the mask is what we see when the mask is not on. Oh my god, symbolism, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Knox, I like to call him Discount Bill Murray, has more motive.
Oh, by the way, Jake, how's the volume doing? Are we all sounding good? Because, like, I know you're there. I see you.
Motivation and character than Bruce Wayne or the Joker. What does Bruce want in this movie? Why is he Batman? Pretend that you don't know the whole "I will avenge you, mother and father." We only find out his parents were murdered at the beginning of the third act.
Oh my God. Look at the look on the face.
What do you suppose?
Of course they gotta do the fucking dig at Zack Snyder.
I mean, he kind of has a lot of them coming.
y-
But yeah, the whole why does he dress up as a bat? It's like it's presented without context at first. It's like, oh my god, yeah, that's really fucking weird and fucked up. Why would anybody do that? We see him from the perspective of a normal person in Gotham, and the
Yeah.
only explanation we're given, which is the same amount of explanation anyone in that world is given, is that the parents were shot, so he hates crime and he has all these resources and he's a fucking crazy millionaire. They acknowledge first and foremost that he's not right, that he's unbalanced. Whereas every other iteration seems to try to make it make more sense than it actually does.
Suppose something like this does to a kid.
Yeah.
Pause for copyrightisms, and also, I mean, we could get this version of Batman. Like, it's the fundamental art, it's the execution.
Mm-hmm. We've had this version of Batman done right. It's like there's a load of comics where he's gone full dark.
Yeah. It's just, like I've been saying over and over again, I feel like we need to fundamentally see, or give it more than just a passing glance, what could have made him this way. Because then when you...
Or do like a trilogy of movies where we actually see the descent and then the burnout.
Yeah, like the glance at the Robin suit is, to me, is not enough to explain like why he kills the shit out of people. Like that's
No, it's an Easter egg, not an explanation.
yeah.
Well, arguably, you could have the exact same, origin story. His parents are murdered, and him just making a different decision is all it takes to get him on that other path.
Mhm.
Right, but it's been like shown that this was basically classic Batman until Robin died. Then
It's all implication. We don't have enough.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not
that's-
shown anything.
yeah, that's the problem.
But Burton chooses to make the
I will say, in terms of just that scene, in terms of like we're all so used to a certain version of Batman, it's definitely not a ease me into that shit. Just immediately Gatling cuts that van in half. It's just like, oh, you are killing people.
Yeah,
Okay.
I brought this up after we watched it, that in this movie, the no-kill rule is never actually brought up. He doesn't have it.
Yeah.
We just kind of know about it in the meta. So it doesn't technically contradict anything in the movie, but at the end, when he's up at the top of the cathedral or whatever with the Joker and he's explicitly saying, I'm going to kill you, it comes across really weird.
Uh-huh.
Joker the one who killed them. So Batman's goal becomes stopping and killing the Joker. Yes, killing the Joker. He even says it.
Kill you. You idiot!
That right there is evidence
There
enough
is.
that Burton doesn't really
Yeah, then you get the back and forth, which I thought was a little cringe, where it's like the Joker's, you idiot, kill me, you made me, and then Batman is like, no, you.
he just slapped him with the reverse Uno card.
Pretty much, yeah.
I like to, instead of like just handing it to him, he actually legit like slaps him with it. Just has the reverse Uno card in his palm. Ow!
get Batman. I mean, for God's sake, just look.
From the beginning, just felt he was black. Just there was no question about it.
I don't know why this is
You
such a
can't
hard
say that.
That was such a lack of context that I was just like, okay. And also that
I almost want you to just grab that clip just in case, just to have it in the back pocket.
I
Do it
just need to
later,
hear-
but
I needed it. Hold on, I need to just hear this again though.
Enough that Burton doesn't really get Batman. I mean, for God's sake, just look.
From the beginning, just felt he was black. You know, just there was no question about it.
I don't know
What is that? This is what happens when you take your clips out of context. You could do that with anything. I could just argue with fucking with that Zack Snyder that just does something fucking Jesus.
oh, you got that like ridiculous potato-looking CGI cyborg in the new trailer, and it's just like from the beginning, just felt he was black. It's like,
why this is such a hard concept for filmmakers to understand. Batman under no circumstance should kill people.
No, it's
Okay, it's not no circumstance. It's a general rule of thumb.
yeah, it's normally his rule. Like, I will kind of say, like, there's nothing to, like, there's a lot of bullshit and semantics with it, but Batman Begins does do the things like, I will fight people like this, but I will not become an executioner. Like, it tries to set up his rule.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as opposed to this, where this guy just goes, Batman under no circumstances should kill somebody. Meanwhile, some of the best Batman comics involve him killing somebody. The Killing Joke, I don't care how ambiguous it's left it, the Killing Joke basically ends with Batman strangling the Joker to death.
I mean, that's another writing 101 thing. It's like if you just take the franchise out of it, say he was just a standalone character that existed in one novel only. If he starts out the story with like one rule for life, the story is going to be about how that rule gets tested and possibly broken, and why, and how, and what it does, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, breaking the rule is fine, but you really have to build up to it and justify it.
Yeah.
And no one ever does.
Yeah, they either just I won't kill, or it's just 0 to 100 machine guns through a van.
Oh, but Alex, Bob Kane had Batman use a gun and kill people.
I don't give one flying fuck about Bob Kane. Bob Kane didn't create Batman, he created a shadow knockoff, a pulp noirish hero. That version of Batman lasted about 2 years. The definitive Bill Finger Batman that has been reinvented, rebooted,
Yeah, I mean,
and revitalized.
he's right that comment presents a non-argument.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if he needs to go through all these lengths to argue against it. Is this really a stance that people are taking? I don't know, but yeah, he's right. That was a non-argument. Dismiss it.
Yeah. Also, I do kind of agree with the kind of fuck Bob Kane thing, but that's only because it's this fucking Stan Lee versus Jack Kirby, but DC, where it's like, no,
I
give people the
don't
proper
actually
credit.
know what happened with Bob Kane. I remember you saying something like "fuck Bob Kane" during the movie as well.
It's because Bob Kane tried to take complete credit for Batman when the biggest comparison, because I fucking for some reason live on comparisons, is Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Jack Kirby created a lot of the characters, but the credit ended up going to Stan. In this case, it was Bill Finger that made a lot of the stuff for Batman, but the credit went to Bob. And it was just like, okay. And I'm in terms of like, I'm glad with the Kirby thing that Kirby did end up finally getting credit in the end. But I don't think Bill Finger is still. I don't think he's mentioned still with the creation of Batman. I think it still goes to Bob Kane. Also, hi Ton.
Fair enough.
Does not.
I mean, does it actually make any difference when arguing about the movies or whether they're
it
good or
doesn't.
not?
I thought I'd just quickly explain why he's going on a little tangent.
Yeah. All right.
Kill people.
I know Bob's trying to take credit for everything. Everything you would think is good, that's Bill.
Accept it and move on. Batman not killing is what makes him so compelling. If he kills criminals, there is no moral conflict. He is no better than the Punisher, Wolverine, or any other dark, edgy hero.
Well,
Okay, hold
let's
on.
not go that
Hold
far.
on.
Those guys kill a lot of people. Killing one or two in an extreme circumstance is not the same thing.
Also, fuck you comparing fucking Punisher to fucking Red Hood and Deadpool. So first of all, in terms of like philosophies, like people say like the reason why like Red Hood's just so edgy and stuff when it's like he doesn't believe in just murdering he doesn't believe in just murdering like a mucker on the street. He only believes in like taking out the high ranking people. He thinks like thug like your purse snatcher like they can just go fuck off and get caught by the police. The Joker, Jason has to struggle like if he constantly takes revenge on the Joker. Like I think he beat him damn near to death with the same crowbar that Joker beat him to death with. Like it's
And the Punisher is his whole thing is just meeting violence with violence.
yeah, it's a fighting
Like
fire
if
with
it's a
fire.
non-violent crime, he's probably not going to take out the AKs.
Yeah. In fact, one of my friends is a huge Punisher fan, and whenever I need to ask him Punisher questions, I'll be like, "So, what about just reformed criminals who like legit, like they performed like the worst crime, but they have legit change?" And he told me like Frank will still keep an eye on him because he doesn't think he has changed, but like if like he doesn't believe in reform. But so if you were like a former murderer, he will be like, all right, I'm gonna keep an eye on you. You kill again, I'm gonna fucking murder the shit out of you. And also,
Yeah, that sounds like Punisher, to be
and
honest, yeah.
also, even Punisher has his one rule. There's the famous panel that if he was firing almost blind into into just a firefight between him and some goons, and it turns out some civilians were in the way. And basically, Punisher puts the gun to his chin and waits for the smoke to clear. And thankfully, there aren't any civilian casualties. But if he saw a single civilian casualty, he would have killed himself because in his logic, he would have deserved punishment.
Ah, so he's kind of like that guy in Bruges.
What?
Have you never seen the movie In Bruges?
No.
We gotta put that on a list because it's a movie I very much like.
Yeah, we can put it on the watch list. I honestly, when that actually kind of creates a bit of a problem with the Punisher. Hold on, excuse me. The problem that I personally have with Punisher is that sometimes they make him a bit too overpowered, depending on the writer. Like there was that one comic where Punisher takes on Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Daredevil, and he kind of just outwits them all.
I have seen versions of him that are basically a super soldier when he really should just be a regular soldier, but very skilled.
Actually, another fun fact for Ton, Punisher is one of the only superheroes that does not have a civilian collateral damage count. He legit has no innocent deaths under his belt. No, not like how Batman or Spider-Man. There's always somebody caught in the crossfire. With Punisher so far 0. Also, the penance stare doesn't work on him because he legit doesn't think he's wrong.
Yeah, as far as he's concerned, he hasn't sinned, and biblically, he hasn't sinned either. He's on an actual crusade.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in the clear. Catholic loopholes, people. You gotta know them.
The power of dogma.
Right?
Oh, fuck me. Do either of you guys know Daredevil that much?
Not really. I saw the first season or 2 of the new show, and that's about it.
Daredevil's Catholic, isn't he? Or is
Yes.
he?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
Because sometimes...
And hard R rated.
Right. I was trying to remember, is he Catholic or is he Protestant? And it's like, since I've never watched... I've seen, of course...
At that point, you're splitting hairs anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because both versions will have like the iconography of the devil, the church, blah blah blah.
That's like being like, oh, is he Christian or is he Baptist or is he, it's
right,
like,
of course.
You're getting into denominations here. It's not that different.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, Jake, that's not fair. He was bringing up the time when Frank was basically returned to life as like basically an angel to punish people, and he had like a holy gun, like a holy shotgun.
Okay. He had a what?
This is why people stopped reading comics, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why people don't
holy
take the
gun.
medium seriously, folks.
I'll show you the Linkara video. He basically Frank died, got brought back to life, and now he's like a holy warrior crusading against crime. And yeah, he does basically have like what is essentially a holy gun. I believe it does take place as a shotgun. He may as well
Okay.
he may as well have like the holy hand grenade from fucking Monty Python.
Didn't Doom Eternal do something like that as like a gag? You know
What?
how he becomes. Yeah, Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
You both fight both
yeah.
demons, and then you fight angels, and you're like just the destroyer of both. So you've got like these demonic and also holy armaments and shit. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I could. Oh, jeez, that just reminds me how I need to finish.
So hey,
Doom Eternal.
HiTop and Batman.
I don't want to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about High Top and Batman. This is my.
He's talking about how Bruce Wayne is bad, and he's one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh God! Don't bring up how Punisher was turned black at one point. This is just gonna create a fucking.
Wait, what? Was that also when he had a holy shotgun, or was that a different thing?
I think that was a different thing.
And was it just a version of him that was black, or did they actually turn him black?
I don't know. I'll need to ask.
It's comics, so either one is possible.
Remember that
Right?
time that Lois Lane was turned into a black lady? This was during
No.
like. Yeah, it was the Lois Lane, girlfriend of Superman. They turned her
This is
black.
why comics and games and things like that do not count.
Yep.
When we're talking about these kind of things.
Yeah, because
I mean, when you've got the
'cause then you got
comics
shit
and
like
you have
this.
like 100 different versions of canon, you can't rely on them at all.
Oh, Jake said they actually turned him black.
Oh yes, perfect.
Yeesh.
Give him the reverse Michael Jackson.
So in Batman 89, making Bruce a killer, making the conflict as simple as Batman wants to stop and kill the Joker because he killed his parents, does not do justice to their fascinating relationship. The original writer of the film, Sam Hamm, has this to say about
keep showing things that happened after this. They're deep and meaningful relationship. Everything he shows happened after 89 Batman.
Uh-huh. I really don't like that. I don't like the argument that after the fact it's like it's a bad Batman movie. And it's just like we've been fucking sitting here with like good and bad Batman movies. Fucking we've had good Batman movies, we've had bad Batman movies. But at the end of the day, 89 is still like the very first one. So I'm not going to apply like the criticisms to the Dark Knight to fucking 89 because they're two separate films.
Well, and we've had a whole lot of content introduced into the meta post 89. But that content does not retroactively make this a worse film.
Mm-hmm.
the choice to make the Joker murder Thomas and Martha Wayne.
I plead innocent. Didn't do it. I did not have the Joker being the murderer of Batman's parents. That was something that Tim had wanted, from early on, and I had a bunch of arguments with him and wound up, talking him out of it for as long as I was on the script.
Now, I read all.
Now, like, no matter what, that's just bad regardless of how much that fucks with Batman. Like,
yeah, well, it's bad because of the way it
because
fucks with Batman to me.
Yeah.
I think this part of it's more just this guy's passing the blame, and it's okay. I don't really care that much whose fault it was.
Mm-hmm.
I just
still
care
went
about
into
the
the
effect
fucking
it had on the
film.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not that guy's fault. Coolio, it was Tim Burton's fault. We blame him for it. That's fine. I just think it takes away from the character. That's all.
By the way, Slur, where'd you get that picture that you sent like half an hour ago? All right, I'll show it on stream.
I saw
in a
it on
second.
Twitter somewhere.
Oh, It was it ever credited?
I
to,
think
like,
Jay
who's
retweeted it.
Oh, okay. Let me throw up the banner for a second so I can show the chat, and then also, one of you guys quickly copy and paste it into one of the things I have access to without fucking with the overlay.
What do you have access to?
I have access to Twitter and Facebook, so you can just copy and paste it into.
Oh, if you just go to Jay's Twitter, it'll be there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea too. JXE. I say that as like he's the first thing. She's the first thing that shows up. Keep scrolling. There it is. All right, let me throw this over and throw down the overlay. A twist is ineffectual if it contradicts canon or genuinely makes no sense when considered. It isn't as clever as it thinks it is. It's more boring than the... That's the problem when this is handwritten. What's that third one?
Hold on, I'll bring it up.
It's more boring than the non-twist option?
Yeah, the non-twist option, and it has no meaningful impact on the plot. So yeah, these are all the things that will make a twist just ineffectual. It's when they're subverting expectations for the sake of subverting them.
When can we just get, like, in current year, when can we just get that film that's just standard? When can we get Commando 2, where Arnold just shoots more people again?
I mean, there are a lot of movies that are pretty straightforward. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's the modern blockbuster. And that's always kind of the focal point. It's kind of like what you hear on the radio is the mainstream of music. It is not by any means everything that's happening in music, you know?
Right. Alright.
Of Sam Hamm's original script, and it very much is a Batman movie. It's about Bruce and his psyche. The final film doesn't choose to focus on anything to do with Batman, really. Tim Burton has clearly never read a Batman comic in his life. Or has he? So on the cover of one of the most famous Batman stories of all time, there's a quote by a certain director.
Okay, Jesus. Has he read a comic book? I almost want to say, like, should you have to digest almost all the source material just to make a single film? I would say no.
Not all of it. I'd say you'd have to be familiar enough with it to get the character and shit right, and that's about all you actually need.
Yeah, it's like when...
After that, maybe the more the better.
It's kind of like irritating when it's like then you see like Jodie Whittaker and she didn't research anything for Doctor Who. And it's just like, oh, okay, you clearly don't care about the character.
Versus someone like Peter Capaldi who, like, when he was announced as the Doctor's, like, they pulled up this letter I think he wrote to...
When he was like 5?
Yeah, when he's like 5 or 7 or something, just like to the Doctor. And yeah, it was clearly just a really big part of his childhood, which kind of makes it all the more heartbreaking that his season just wasn't very good.
I will say, no matter what, fucking nothing will be able to beat Tenet, but that's because he lived and breathed to the point he married the Doctor's actual daughter. Like, he's just like, alright, you clearly, like, you like the Thing. Good for you. I guess, do you want to play the Thing now?
I mean, I like Tenet in general.
Oh yeah, I like him.
Good in a lot
I like
of
him
things.
as well. It's just I just love the fact that he was so obsessed with the Doctor that he actually became part of one of the Doctor's
He
families.
lives, breathes, eats, drinks, and fucks Doctor Who. It's his life.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, I guess yeah, make him the Doctor now.
But then years later, he had this to say.
And in the piece, it said, when asked for comment, Tim Burton said, anybody that knows me knows that I would never read a comic book. Which, to me, explains fucking...
I hate this music. I can't hear Kevin Smith.
Yeah, it's not mixed very well, but yeah, basically it's just...
I know exactly what he's
It's two different
referencing.
statements. He's trying to present them like they contradict, and they don't. Like, anybody who knows me knows I don't watch fucking Teletubbies. I did when I was much, 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 much younger. And when Tim Burton was a young lad, he read comic books. As a grown adult, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who knows me, present tense, knows I don't do this. It was one of the first comic books I ever loved, past tense. It's like these statements don't contradict. Also, the premise of this argument is he clearly doesn't get the character because he didn't dive into the psychology of Batman. He only dived into the psychology of Bruce Wayne. And we've kind of already covered why that argument is non-functional.
Yeah.
Batman.
That's right, shot! Now you want to get nuts? Come on!
Okay, fuck off. That scene is actually really good. The like how, like he's trying to tell the fucking story, and he's like she actually is legit trying to out crazy the Joker. He's just like, they're just some people that like things happen, and then you want to know what it's like. You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
And just like a Batman who relies on fear to, strike at the heart of Gotham, he tries intimidation tactics to dissolve this entire situation.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Yeah, by like showing how mentally unstable, by breaking the vase. Like it's just like, oh yeah, you don't want to fuck with that guy.
And you remember how that scene starts? He leans into Joker and he whispers, "I know he works." Because in Bruce's head at that moment, this is just Jack Napier. He's another fucking street gangster thug asshole who will be cowed into submission if he's challenged enough. He didn't know before that just what he was dealing with.
Yeah.
We did,
and then,
but he didn't.
Yeah, but then as soon as he says, "You want to get nuts?" Jack pulls a gun, and then, of course, he's "You ever dance the devil in the pale moonlight?" And that takes Bruce completely off his game. What?
Yeah.
Dance the devil in the pale moonlight. It's just a thing I say before I kill people. Bang!
So you unwittingly just tried to play my game, and I'm much better at it than you.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I personally don't think Burton gives a single shit about the character of Batman. Why in this film did Bruce Wayne decide to be Batman? The only reasoning we get is...
It's just something I have to do.
Why?
Because nobody else can.
But why can no one else do it?
Like it's an obsession of his and his alone.
Uh-huh.
And we already know why no one else can, because nobody else has a fucking cave under their mansion or access to all the equipment.
Right.
The idea that anybody can wear the mask, it doesn't work like that.
Well,
Anybody who is as competent as him can wear the mask. Anyone who can pull off being Batman can wear the mask. That's not the same thing.
Well, I was actually about to... I brought this up when we were watching 89, actually. I was like, it's technically true that, like, people who are skilled could be Batman, but, like, but only in, like, surface level things only. Like, it's like how each Robin has been their own iteration of Batman, but only Bruce can be the Batman. Because
they even do this in The Dark Knight, where you have other people trying to be Batman and they can't do it.
Yeah, well, one, it's because it's because most of these copycats just have fucking guns.
Well, that's the thing. That's what a vigilante usually is. They're just these lone actors who they'll dress up and they'll go out with their guns to try and get some vigilante justice. And having the comparison between these just anybody is behind the mask versus Bruce Wayne is behind the mask is that one is a vigilante, the other's a superhero.
Yeah. Oh, and like it's something that I actually love when the comics explored it. The difference between when Dick Grayson put on the cowl, it's just like it's not the same thing. Like you like almost like everybody who knew Batman, so even like Commissioner Gordon knew that's not Batman. Something's off.
Unlike Batwoman, where she's in an entire different race with a different look, and everybody just sees her and just cheers anyway because, oh my god, look, it's Batwoman.
Dun, 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 dun. I have not been watching any of Y.A.R.P's coverage of season 2. I really hope they fucking play the music still.
They have got a new intro theme, but I think the combat music is the same.
Yes.
But God, season 2 it's exactly as broken as you think it is. It's great. It's hilarious.
Is he trained? What has he done with his entire life? We meet him as an adult Batman, and all we know is he likes to play dead, he's rich and a bit crazy, and he is what the plot
does he
needs him
mean
to.
adult Batman? He's always been an adult Batman.
I think it's like that bullshit that he's pulling like from future stuff where we see Bruce Wayne as a kid, and it's just like, what are you fucking talking about?
Does he think that one scene we've seen 100 fucking times of him as a kid and the obsession growing in him as a kid is the defining thing of good Batman? Because it isn't.
It's almost like he's trying to pull the Uncle Ben argument that I sometimes pull, and then I almost immediately regret it.
Yeah, we don't need the scene. We just need to know that it happened in the canon.
Right.
Because it's a formative moment for the character. But unless you're doing the origin story, you don't need it. And this is not an origin story.
It kind of turns into one towards the end.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Yeah.
it does bring it around, but I'm not against the idea of doing that. Like, you come in, he's already established, he's already doing his thing, and then towards the end, it's like, okay, here's kind of why.
Yeah. And honestly,
But you don't need all that other stuff.
Really, no.
Hold on. In the armor room, I just realized, so he's got like those fancy fucking suits of armor. Then over here is just this plain old like, oh, it's a normal helmet.
Yeah, these normal ones along the hallways and in the corners, those are just normal armor. The ones on the fucking podiums. Oh
Yeah.
man.
There's the fucking Dark Souls one right here where it's got like the fucking spikes on the helmet.
Every one of them is hilarious in their own way, but the Dark Souls one and the rubber tubing gas man, that's the best one.
Yeah, where it's like Mahler's fucking dad. The prototype longman. I do
WW1.
I also do like this scene in general in terms of showing like how rich it's a Bruce Wayne showing off his wealth kind of thing. Hey, we need to open more boxes of champagne. Yeah, go ahead. How many should we open? He just looks to the reporter. He's like, 6? Yeah, go ahead and open 6 more cases of champagne. It's like...
Yeah. This is that blend of swagger and social awkwardness I was talking about earlier. This is when you actually see it. Because he actually doesn't really have a concept of what things cost. Just like a real out-of-touch multi-billionaire.
Well, it's like, I actually do kind of... It's why I like it in Batman Begins, where it's like, we gotta order those parts for the cowl. We'll have to order them in mass. How many? Like 10,000? Well, at least we'll have spares. Like this, like you could see that kind of look on Bruce's face, where he's just like, okay.
Yeah, but the difference is, like, what makes this so good is you can tell he doesn't understand how much these things cost. You know, a better example to me would be like, if one of the other characters in the movie was having money troubles and Bruce was like, oh, well, how much money do you need? Like 500,000? And they're like, what the fuck? You know, like,
he kind of does something similar with the newspaper guy to
he
his
does.
left.
He gives him he gets like, can we get a grant? And then he
And
says
the
to
guy
Alfred,
actually
"Give
says
him a
it
grant."
as a joke because he's that kind of character. He's like, oh, it's like, oh, I love your work. It's like, yeah, could you give me a grant? It's like he's being a chancer. He's joking, but then he's like, oh, Alfred, give this guy a grant. It's like he just flippantly does it offhand. He doesn't recognize it as a joke because it's just money.
It's why I do kind of I love the idea of like when Bruce Wayne's trying to be a millionaire, or well, I'm sorry, a billionaire. To quote Arkham City, millionaires are so last year.
I mean, a millionaire meant a lot more in the 80s.
Well, no, in Arkham City, like that's the funniest thing is like in Arkham City, it starts that Bruce Wayne's having a bit of a rally against Arkham City, and Vicky Vale just goes, the notorious millionaire, and as Bruce walks past her, it's billionaire, Vicky. Millionaires are so last year.
And now it would have to be trillionaire.
Yeah. Quintillionaire.
The true effects of inflation. Batman now has to be a trillionaire to be relevant.
He's got to own more money than God.
Well, yeah, you just kind of have to contextualize it so that him buying the Justice League space station base thing actually makes sense. Because
called the Watchtower.
A millionaire ain't doing that.
I was about to say you mean the Watchtower. I was trying not to
Yeah,
do that,
okay.
and then fucking Ninja basically did it. It's called the Watchtower. I love how the idea that the Watchtower is completely built by Wayne money and like and Wayne supplies. It's like, Batman, that is the biggest paper trail.
Nah, ain't nobody scoping out the Justice League shit.
Oh, no, I think they actually play it off, well, at least in the animated version, which is actually good. They play it off as in Wayne Enterprises fully endorses
Oh, that's right.
the
They
Justice
pull,
League as an entity.
yeah, they pull the what would later be known as like the Batman Incorporated thing, because in the comics, Bruce like Wayne Industries is basically funding Batman through what is called Batman Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the fucking high top bullshit.
To be. He figures out the Joker's chemical scheme when he needs to be smart. He's romantic when he needs to be romantic, and he can fight when he needs to fight.
What the fuck does that mean? It's almost as if he's fucking Batman.
And competent. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
he
any
tries things, he
character-
figures them out, and then he
Yeah.
does. Like, well, yeah, that's... Is that a problem?
The only
You're
time
not saying
Batman
anything,
not
High
be able
Top.
to do those things?
it's like, high top, you're not saying a damn thing.
It's his opinion, guys.
Oh, yeah. Never
I
mind.
will say, in terms of like bat gadgets for that movie, the bat like dick hitter thing that comes out of his fucking palm from
That was
the
goofy as
knife
all
angle.
hell and
I
so
was-
unnecessary.
Yeah, I was like, wait, you have a thing that shoots out that if somebody's trying to do like a flying high kick, or like with little knife things on their ankles, you just can hit them in the dick. What the hell?
And for most of the movie, there's actually very little in terms of gadgetry. Mostly it's just the armor of the suit and the grappling hook, and the rest of it is just him beating the shit out of people. And he also has like the metal braces on his arms to block knives and stuff.
And on
Then
his shins.
yeah, and then the only time you really break away and you go back to like the 60s with the incredibly specific gadgets is when you get the plane that has the scissors on the front.
Oh yeah. Also the shot where the very goofy shot where the bat plane fucking shadows over the moon.
Oh yeah, I think that's still in our chat.
Yeah.
As far as we know, he has no moral guidelines, and he's Batman because he's completely fucking insane. Now, none of this...
Yeah.
I mean, Batman is fucking insane. That's beside the
That's
point.
why he's Batman in every iteration. It's
Yeah.
why he's the one who became Batman, is because he's the one who went that particular kind of crazy. That's not new. That's in so many different versions that he's not normal. It's a meme at this point. That it's so fucking weird.
No, I bet there are people out there who think that Batman is sane. Unironically.
I mean, Batman.
And I'm sure High Top is one of them.
I was about to make the joke, like, I mean, Batman thinks he's sane. There's that one time he is locked up in Arkham, and he said, "I'm not insane. I'm Batman." It's just like,
It's like,
It's the guy from the Lego movie.
Yeah, great scene. If you haven't seen Lego Batman, by the way, good movie.
Yeah, Lego Batman is fucking awesome. Surprised that High Top hasn't even touched that, considering how much of a fucking nerd he is.
Michael Keaton, who had so much
you
to this...
calling anybody a nerd is funny.
Yeah, I don't think you have enough cred to use the N-word pass.
Oh no.
Whoa! Just immediately just... No.
Pretty shallow protagonist. Keaton's performance is cool, intimidating, and likable enough that we view this murdering madman as a hero. But
wow.
Back, I want to hear the whole statement again.
Yeah, let's try that again.
None of this is on Michael Keaton, who adds so much to this pretty shallow protagonist. Keaton's performance is cool, intimidating, and likable enough that we view this murdering madman as a hero.
Okay, hold on. Yes, Keaton's performance really fucking good, but an actor only has what is written to work with. So if you're saying he makes the character likable by bringing all this personality, yes, that is true. But the scenes in which he does it, the lines he's saying, the interactions he's having that provide the entire context for that to happen is in the writing.
Yeah.
So the two are very much interconnected. I'm not sure what point he's really trying to make, unless he's like, nobody would like this Batman if it was played with a little bit less charm. When all of the good writing points are still there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just being pulled off very well. So it feels like a bit of a non-argument.
But besides Keaton's performance, what makes you like Bruce Wayne in this movie? What makes you want him to stop the Joker? Why do we...
His everything we've said so far about why he's good as Bruce Wayne, I think I can sum it up
And
that way.
also, he wants to stop the Joker because the Joker's a fucking crazy man who's just fucking killing people.
Yeah, because he's a supervillain. He went on TV, he says, like, I put poison in all of, like, your cosmetics.
Yeah.
And people are dying. So, yeah, I'd want anybody to stop that guy. And this is the guy who's doing it.
Yeah,
Nice.
like, yeah, it's like, who could save us? That mailman. All right, Jerry, get to it then.
I mean, that mailman might have a gun, and if he sees the Joker and shoots him, I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, go Jerry, yeah.
And like the only way the Joker was able to go out in public and be lauded is because he was literally throwing money at the crowd.
Money that couldn't be used
to shoot them. Yeah. Well, we don't actually know that the money in this movie had his face on it. As far as we know, it was
you can
just
kind of see it when it lands on his hat. You can kind of take a look at it, and it does not look like a $1 bill.
I would say that's more to do with it being prop money than an actual in-universe thing. I suppose it could go either way.
The thing I'm talking about, by the way, chat, is the in the comic adaptation of 89, it shows what the money looks like, and he does pull true to the my face on the $1 bill. It's literally just $1 bills with his face on the, and we made the joke. It's like, oh, so this money's useless.
Who even give a shit about this guy? Seriously, go down in the comments section and let me know. What do you like about the character of Batman in Batman 89?
Alright, I like,
I mean, we've just done this.
Yeah, we just keep doing it. It's just like this conversation over and over. My favorite scene
So I
has
think
to
we
probably
can
be
square that one away at this point, unless anyone has something new, because
does anyone have
I think we kind of covered it.
Does anyone have their particular favorite scene involving Batman or Bruce Wayne? Like specifically
When he's trying to explain, when he's trying to build up to telling Vicky that he's Batman, that entire scene is that's really good, Bruce. It's really endearing. You really get what his personality is. You can actually go to the E.A.R.P example. Just think, can I sort of fill in the blanks as to what this character thinks about X thing without them directly saying it? And yeah, we get enough of an impression of this character to fill that in. We understand him. We get a flavor of his personality and how he sees the world.
You took that one right out from under me. I guess I'm gonna go the party, in the armor room. Cause
yeah, good scene.
Why does it look like this? What? It's Japanese. How do you know? Because I bought it in Japan. What about you, Ninja?
What about me?
Any particular scene in the movie that endeared you to Batman or Bruce?
We talked about the scene where he's trying to kind of tell Vicky. We had the scene from the party. That was my pick.
I would probably go with the scene where it's the three of them in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's really
good. With him and Alfred. Yeah.
Because in all, I do enjoy that scene. In fact, that really endeared me to this version of Bruce, because that's what it's just what a normal person would do. Well, if we were given a
it's going from that awkward scene with them in the dining hall, and then having that right next to the very sort of heartwarming scene with the three of them in the kitchen, and you could tell it's like a much smaller room. They're all closer together. You know, Alfred's just regaling them with stories, past. It's like that's Bruce.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
right next to each other, you have a circumstance where he feels very uncomfortable and awkward, versus right next to it, a scene where he feels very comfortable and at home. That just immediately tells you a lot about him as a person. That's really good shit.
Well, and I've always liked the idea of Alfred sort of being a large part of what anchors Bruce to being a human.
Yes.
Mhm.
I very much like the fact that Alfred is as much part of the family as everyone else was, as Thomas and Martha and Bruce himself. Like they're
And after he lost his parents, Alfred fucking raised him. Alfred
right.
is his family.
I don't like the ones where the interpretations where Alfred kind of remains to be the butler, and it's like, Bruce, this man raised you.
Yeah, no, that.
And
But yeah, what all of our picks have in common is that they're the scenes that really tell us about him, his mindset, how he sees the world, his personality, and endear us to him. They show his more human characteristics, the
yeah,
ways he feels uncomfortable, the ways
feels more
that being
relaxed.
Bruce doesn't feel that natural to him until he's with Alfred. He's in his home. He's in his element. Other than that, he's in the Batcave. So all of this is really good shit.
I also just find it humanizing in general because, let's face it, if the three of us suddenly had mansions, and like even if you're just with like an SO or just like a date in general, you'd be like, yeah, I don't want to eat in this dining room where it's like big and empty. Like you want to just like get somewhere where you get a little bit closer and actually have like a conversation, and that place would
Yeah, or even
ironically
if you
just
have
be the kitchen.
you have the really long table, you'd
Yeah.
want to be sat opposite the person, like
Mhm.
towards the middle or on one end, because you're sitting on opposite ends. He only did that, and he clearly only did that because he thought it was what he was supposed to do. As soon as she brings up, it's like, this is kind of silly, and he's just like, yeah, do you want to get out of here? It's
Yeah.
like, neither of them want this. He's like, yes, thank you, let's leave.
Hell, if I actually had a mansion and like a bunch of servants, I'd feel really awkward. I'd be like, "Oh no, you don't need to get that for me. I got it. Just clean up after
Oh god,
myself."
yeah, no.
I'm just all these years of just being like me. It's like, well, let me get that for you, sir. No, I got it. Just sit down. Hey,
I honestly don't even like waiters being overly helpful. It's like, no, it's like, dude, it's already on the table. I can just reach over, grab myself. It's okay.
Oh yeah, that's why I myself when the waiter or waitress is trying to get like the dirty plates, I grab them and hand them to them. I'm like, no, like you don't need to reach over me. Like let me help you.
Even though I actually do know people who are waiters and waitresses, like, they don't like it when you do that, so I have stopped doing that.
Oh,
it's like, leave it on the table. I have my routine. I have my way of grabbing them around. If people keep trying to hand me shit, it messes up my stacking. Leave it alone. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's okay. I was a busboy, so I appreciated it when people handed me their stuff.
Oh, the gesture is absolutely appreciated. It's just practically, it's not helpful.
Okay.
From at least from what I've heard.
That's why the secret is to meet them in the middle. Just like move the plates and stuff towards the end of the table so that they can then pick them up in a, comfortable way for them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't have Jesus. I'm somehow if a waiter or waitress that has ever served me ever hears this in retrospect, I'm sorry. I guess.
You insensitive piece of shit.
Well, it's because
trust me, they're waiters and waitresses. They've dealt with worse.
I know, but I'm one of those people that just like, oh, I accidentally. Well, it's like the when you say "you too" to the like enjoy your movie, you too. And it's like you just want to fucking die a little bit. It's like
somebody says happy birthday, you too.
And you're just like so like I almost want to like perpetuate this like social like this like okay, everything's fine. Then you just fuck up a little bit and it's like, all right, I guess I've got to burn the whole world down. Batman
and HiTop.
Yeah, Batman and HiTop. He clearly, it's one of those things like he's gotten so, I don't want to say cynical, he's gotten so far up his own ass that he's like, he can't see what is essentially the beauty of
well, because he has his own interpretation of Batman, and his Batman is better and more real and more true to the character than anyone else's interpretation.
Yeah, so this version of Bruce where he's humanized in all these different ways. None of that counts. It's like, no. You just like Michael Keaton. It's like telling what we feel. It's like, we like this thing. It's like, no, you don't. It's like, oh, okay.
I glanced over at OBS just to make sure everything's running right. I thought I saw like just a black part of the where the icons were, and I was like, oh right, that's just Batman's ass just blended into the square, and it just happens to be dark enough that it's like it blends in with everything else.
Well, and one of my favorite things about Bruce in this is like, yeah, there's dialogue that tells us a lot about him, but a lot of it is more subtle than that. It's the visual storytelling of Bruce and sort of the whole way things are shot, or just, you don't have to say everything, you can show it. A movie has multiple ways of delivering information to the viewer. And HiTop just seems to be of this camp that it's like, no, the movie didn't outright tell us, so it's bad. It's like, thanks.
We didn't see
Or
Uncle
you
Ben.
didn't say it doesn't count.
We didn't
Like,
see Uncle
no,
Ben get
that's-
shot. Like, it's just that.
You have until this ad is over, okay? 3, 2, 1. I really have no clue what you guys answered, honestly. Besides Keaton, there just isn't really anything there to.
You could tell there was an ad break there, but because I've got premium, it's just fucking like it's just like, oh, I'm not dealing with your shit.
Nice.
Empathize with or grasp. Batman himself in Burton's 2 films looks great, sounds great, and has some cool lines. There is absolutely, positively nothing human about this Batman.
I think we've dismantled the absolute fuck out of that.
We have.
Also, the only new thing to talk about there is like, he looks great. Does he?
It depends. The problem being is that you can clearly tell this is just rubber that's had like scissors run through it.
Oh yeah, I think this is the exact pause frame we had when I pointed out, like, you can actually see the cut marks around the eye holes.
Yeah, that's where I was always like, it's a in terms of visual
I would
storytelling,
not say that the look goes to this movie's strength. Like, no.
Yeah, it has not aged the best. In terms of visual stuff, the only thing that kind of made me go, was when Vicky turns around and just sees Bruce just hanging upside down. I was always like,
yeah, that's really weird.
Bruce, I know you're trying to do the whole bat thing and like sleeping upside down, but I'm pretty sure if a human being stays upside down for too long, they'll die.
Or at least get very uncomfortable and have a headache because the blood is not supposed to go in that direction.
Yeah.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker.
The Joker. Oh boy.
Oh, come on. You don't need to. Okay. What is with these editing fucking choices where they're just like, they have the line and then he's just like, the Joker. When it's just like, you could have just had the fucking, like, as he pulls the hat off, Joker, then have the text appear and then just go into your points.
I think he was just using it as a transition thing. But yeah, it was chopped together weird. Whatever. Okay, we've kind of made our predictions as to where he's going to go with this, I guess we'll say.
I'm gonna get the dislikes for this one. We talked about the lack of Batman's character, but we didn't touch on the Joker yet. Now don't get me wrong, Nicholson's performance is a fucking riot. When I saw the film recently in the theater, every single little Nicholson bit in the movie had the audience in tears. But just like Batman, there's nothing to this Joker other than Nicholson's hilarious performance. I'm fine.
Nicholson's
is that
Joker
the angle he wants to take on this?
Nicholson's Joker is charismatic as all hell.
Also, the whole nothing to him, we've touched on it earlier, but the fact that he feels more grounded and a part of the world because we see the Jack Napier stuff first, that gives him a lot more. Unless he's going to take the angle the Joker only works when he's a fucking ghost.
Which I would say
apparates out of nothing, and I don't like that at all. I like the idea that his origin is mysterious, sure, but he should still have one.
It's why Killing Joke has one of the best lines. If I'm gonna have an origin, I prefer multiple choice.
Yeah, like that's a good interpretation of it. But having a definitive one that we actually see him go from A to B that's fine, and it actually explains a lot about why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
Like, he was a violent sociopath before he went crazy.
Yeah. And the idea that, okay, I'm trying to like finish this thought before I start talking about it, because it's like you could have it work out the idea of Jack Napier being the one that killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, because he was a mob hitman, so the mob could have just told him kill these two people.
No.
Like, I said could. Like,
You could, and you'd be wrong. Slur said
Yeah,
it
I
earlier.
default to what I said earlier, yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad to give him a face. Like, as far as I'm concerned, the people that killed, Bruce's parents might have well been wearing full ski masks. Like, that's the kind of mystery that you want. Like, you don't want him to have a name and a face.
I guess
associated with that person.
I guess I've gotten so used to Chill, so that's like I can't imagine it just being a
Chill
faceless
brings up the same problem
Yeah,
that
I know.
that having it be the Joker brings up,
Yeah,
because
that's
they
the-
kind of even addressed it in The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Or Batman Begins at least.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like we've kind of addressed it both ways. It's like, oh yeah, it gives him a single person to obsess over, even to the point in Batman Begins where Bruce flat out wants to kill him. I don't know. So the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, Joe Chill's been like the definitive killer for so long that I guess I just haven't tackled it from the idea of it being a faceless. Like with Joker. Joker did a good example of that, where it was just a random person during that riot that just shot his parents.
The idea being that even with his massive amounts of money and his massive amounts of resources, he still can't figure it out. So then he just
was just
that
one of
hate.
100,000 muggers that happen to exist in Gotham because Gotham is corrupt to the core. That's why he's on his crusade. It's like, yeah, we said all this earlier.
Yeah.
I'm with them giving the Joker a real name and skipping out on the Red Hood bit. I'm even fine with the fact that 2 of his big scenes are an excuse to play Prince music. More on this later. The Joker calls himself the
I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist.
And Vicky Vale even asks the Joker,
What do you want?
My face on the $1 bill.
So is his defining character trait narcissism? He becomes the Joker because Boss Grissom sets him up due to the fact that Jack is sleeping with his wife. He wants to kill Batman because he steals all the attention the Joker seeks. He wants Vicky Vale to take pictures and record all of his art pieces. He also wants to bone her.
That is not the only reason he wants to kill Batman. That's one of the reasons that Batman became a more specific thorn in his side, but that's not the only reason. And yeah, the Joker being a narcissist who wants attention. Well,
that's
yeah.
just how the Joker works.
Again, is he presenting this as a problem? Because this is something we see in many versions of the character. And 9 times out of 10, it seems to track. So unless he's giving an example as to why it doesn't track in this exact circumstance, I don't think he's got a case here. And even going back to what we said about how seeing the Jack Napier stuff before he turns into the Joker sets up why he is the way he is. He's a self-obsessed, narcissistic sociopath with violent tendencies, and then goes crazy, and then this is what we get out of it. It's like, yeah, this is A to B. We did it.
Right.
Where's the...
That's it. Seriously? That's the Joker's end goal? One of the most fascinating and complex characters in all of comics, film, and television is reduced to a narcissistic artist?
But Alex, it was not.
Okay, before he uses the whatever straw man this is going to be. Yeah, he's complex and fucked up, but he's only as complex as the iteration. Like, we have a lot of different versions to go with.
Yeah.
All of varying levels of depth. And in almost all of them, the narcissism, the wanting attention. It's like his whole thing is he's a clown. So everything's colorful, everything's grabbing your attention. He's got these jokes that only he gets. Like, this is all consistent stuff.
His fucking Harley is dressed up like a fucking jester.
Well, she's dressed up as a harlequin.
A
That's the
Harlequins,
pun of her
right?
name.
Right, of course.
But yeah,
Uh,
all of it together, it's only as deep as much as that version of it is asking why that is the case. That's where the depth comes in.
Yeah, Ton's saying it best that even his simplified description makes him a more interesting villain than the many characters he's declared to love. Yeah, he fucking loves what's her name? Barbara from Wonder Woman 1984, who's like almost as one-dimensional as it gets. And then
Wait, is that the one who turned into like the furry?
into Cheetah, yeah.
Oh
And
no.
he said in his own, I remember this perfectly, she's not a villain, she's a victim. And it's just like, what?
Oh, fuck off.
What?
That is again, we're going right back to 101 bullshit. It's like
That's the
just
whole...
because they have a sympathetic backstory doesn't make them any less villainous. Villainy is not defined by how sad you are.
It's what makes them possibly interesting. But the idea is you had a moment where you were victimized and then you made a choice. Did you use that to become a hero or did you use that to become a villain?
Yeah.
Like, did you try to change things or did you just take it out on other people?
It's why Max from Amazing Spider-Man 2 can be very sympathetic up to a point.
Well, yeah, I mean, the real life equivalent is like, look at anybody who has severe trauma in their past, right? Take the hero and the villain aspect out of it. You can either let that trauma define you for the rest of your life and spend your life never being better than that. Or you can say, hey, that really sucked. I don't want that to be the rest of my life, and do something about it.
You don't even have to go that far with it. You can just look. Remember being in school, right? You go from, well, for us, it's primary school. I think for you, it's like grade school or something. When you're young, right? You all know a couple people who get bullied. And then when you go into secondary school or high school, those people will go one of two ways. Either they become like decent people who know the value of being good to other people because it's just being a cool person means you're probably going to surround yourself with other cool people. And then you get the other ones, the ones who decide, I'm never going to be the one who gets bullied first. They become the edgelords, the assholes, the ones who are always trying to start shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is like fundamental to how people act.
Or you get the complete psychopaths that were bullies, and then they're just like, we're gonna ramp it up from there to become
the people who double down.
Yeah, the people who like then by this point become criminals and like get sent to juvie.
And even then, you can dig into their lives, and 9 times out of 10, they've got like a really shitty home life.
Yeah.
And they're only taking it out on the one circumstance where they have control because they're bigger than other kids or whatever.
I believe Patton Oswalt was a I think he admitted that he was a bully in school because like he was punching down so other people wouldn't punch down at him. Like he was exactly what you said. He was the one who struck first just to make sure like his ass was covered.
1989, the Joker wasn't established as a mainstream icon yet.
Yes, I hear you, but comics like The Dark Knight Returns had come out.
Well,
comics
that's
like
also not true.
It's also the Joker is all like up the second the Joker was premiered, he was then like made Batman's main antagonist.
Well, not just that, he was also just the reason they went for the Joker as the villain of this first edgy movie that they were going to do of him is because he was established and people would recognize him.
Yeah.
People had a basis of like a hook. It's like, oh, it's Batman versus the Joker. This will be good.
Yeah, we would have
pretty sure if you go back to the golden era, like the comics, he wasn't originally intended to be the main antagonist or the nemesis.
Oh, even in the
I think
the Adam West show, he was just one of many villains he fought along the way.
Right.
People really latched onto him, and then he became the.
I could have
right. Like initially, he wasn't intended to be as big as he was.
Well,
it's just people seem to react positively to it.
I could have sworn,
and he became mainstream before this movie.
I could have sworn, their like his like debut cover where he was like the main antagonist said like the premiere of Batman's arch enemy, the Joker.
No.
I'll need to see if I can find the cover.
He was basically just run-of-the-mill random gangster
Mm-hmm.
that had like a slightly different paint job.
Also, I love how he keeps referencing like the comics had been out when it's like by this point in history, not that many people read a fucking comic book.
Explored how the Joker views Batman, how their rivalry is essentially an abusive relationship that neither partner will end. If you're going to cast Nicholson, if you're going to make the Joker more of a lead character than Batman, at least give him some character. Nicholson moves from scene to scene, improvising, laughing, and smiling, but his character lacks any kind of emotional depth. This movie decides to give the Joker a definitive origin, which is more than I can say for Batman, but why?
Okay.
What purpose?
Laughing and smiling from scene to scene, his character lacks any emotional depth. Alright. As Jack Napier, when he was still, relatively sane, he had emotional depth. He had a range of emotion. But once he was dipped in the villain juice, he came back. A, his mind is completely broken, and B, because of what happened to his face, it's carved into a permanent smile. And he even makes a joke out of the fact that even though he's always smiling, he's not smiling underneath, and then he laughs about it. Like, that's the most Joker shit they could have done. It's like the depth is there, but you're just not told about it. You're shown that, yeah, he's not actually happy. Oh no, symbolism. The smile is fake. He's smiling on the outside. Like, again, this is the most basic shit about this character. And people like this are why we get so many movies that insist on telling us anything but showing us nothing.
Right. Why we have
Or
only
telling us things
level.
that don't actually match what we're shown.
Yeah.
Purpose to showing Jack Napier before he is the Joker add to the film? Is it to allow the audience to empathize with?
Dude, literally what you just said.
Jack,
I'm just gonna say the HiTop is a fucking piece of shit. Opinion or otherwise, like, you're just fucking wrong, dude.
I mean, it's his opinion, but he's an idiot, and his opinion is based on things that are incorrect.
It's based off misinformation.
Or very poor faith interpretation.
Yeah. It's like, it's the equivalent of fucking, it's the equivalent of like what I do when I read a text message, where I just read it in like somehow in the most bad faith version of their voice. When it's like, that's not how you're supposed to do that. Like when it comes to his dissection of films, he's fucking, it's like, oh, why do we have to see the Joker's origin? Is it such this shit? It's like, what? No. Fucking idiot.
Once he becomes the Joker? No. He's a piece of shit before and after his chemical spa day. Is it to create a parallel to Batman's arc, like in Spider-Man when Peter becomes Spidey at the same time Norman becomes the Goblin? No. That's a trick question because Batman doesn't have an arc. The reason we have that origin in the film, the sole reason, the big reason why Batman 89 is a bad Batman movie.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Studio interference. Okay. You guys have realized that?
Oh no. Okay, he's gone off the rails. He's in the weeds. But going back to what he said there, it's like, oh, he was a piece of shit before, he was a piece of shit after. Making out that they're in any way the same is, oh, that's
delusional.
So stupid. Yeah, he said he's watched this movie like a lot of times. How do you do that and not recognize, oh, bad thing happened to bad person makes them very much worse. Everything escalates. What we're dealing with when he's the Joker is not the same as what we were dealing with when he was Jack Napier.
Now, guys, everybody knows that you only need to watch a film like 3 times in order to perfectly understand it.
I mean, that should be enough depending on how much attention you're paying. But even like this, it's not an arc because he didn't go from good to bad. Going from bad to worse doesn't count. Like, bruh. That's not how that works.
Yeah, you can still have an arc of being, he was a sociopathic piece of shit. he took his chemical spa day. He became a megalomaniac piece of shit.
I was going to say he
Yeah,
became
there's a
even
difference.
worse.
Yeah, and the longer he spends as the Joker, the more unhinged he gets, the bigger his shows of awfulness are. Which is where we get the urgency to stop him as soon as fucking possible.
That the Batman series is just an endless loop. Hear me out. You have completely campy, which makes people want dark and gritty. Then when it gets too dark and gritty, you add some camp back in. Then people like the lighter tone, so you go even more goofy in the next one. Then people fucking hate that, so you kill the franchise for a few years, and then you go back to being serious. But then you get too serious again, and so you go back to cracking jokes. Then the franchise is dead yet again. Anyways, I put a
Okay,
series
this is the implication that people either loved or hated all these movies just because of how campy or serious they were is disingenuous as fuck.
It reminds me of that thought process when people say that camp equals bad, when that's not how that works at all. Like,
It's all about the execution.
I was going to say Evil Dead is like pure camp, and it's done perfectly.
But yeah, it's like none of the responses to these movies had anything to do with how good they were. It's just people didn't like how serious he was or how camp he was. That's literally not how people form responses to things.
This just made me realize, like, when it comes to the campiness argument, this was like, I don't know if HiTop fucking made this argument. I remember somebody saying that to view Batman and Robin, just view it as if it's another episode of the Adam West show. And I was like, I guess this just kind of sounds stupid. Like
It also doesn't work because the tone of 89 is also really cartoony. And it's consistently cartoony. That's one of its strong points, is that it keeps a consistent tone throughout most of the show. It's like, yeah. So I don't even know where you would get this from unless he's just really flippantly dismissing anybody's opinion of the movie the same way who's the guy who was defending BVS? It's like, people
Perfect.
yeah, nobody actually has an opinion on the movie. They just like or dislike Zack Snyder. Like, fuck off.
Oh yeah. See, I will give Zack Snyder, like, he is a great visual storyteller in terms of like what he does with his visuals. In terms of script writing, he's dog shit. And also, he just shouldn't be allowed to touch certain characters.
Yeah, but if you criticize anything he does in the movie, it's just because you don't like Zack Snyder.
Ugh.
Which is, it's not only a non-argument, it's completely dismissing an argument for no fucking reason.
I like the visuals of Sucker Punch, but the actual story of Sucker Punch is dog shit.
Oh yeah, it had a really cool trailer. Movie was shit.
We still need to watch this Dawn of the Dead remake.
Get to look at women.
She get to look at women. I finally showed River that clip, and she was just like, "What the fuck was that? What is this guy?" Is fucking Nicholson wearing a Batman button?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Right on.
Behind the scene clips where the cast and crew directly reference things the studio wanted or needed in Batman 89.
I remember one day somebody brought in a logo and we all looked at it and said, what is that? It looks like the inside of somebody's throat. It was Tim's vision. It was his eye. You know, once you bought that eye. The question was, how much does it cost and where can you make it less expensive?
When Jack...
What? The fucking yellow around the symbol has been part of Batman's costume way before this movie.
I guess he just never knew what Batman was until the movie was pitched. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I almost completely forgot that this was how he was transitioning into studio interference. So his claim was, okay, if the Joker has no arc, no depth, no character, no anything, why is he so bad? Why did this happen? And it's like, oh, it happened because studio interference.
They kind of
and
are,
this is just where we are now.
They're kind of coming across as like the studio practically made the movie and not Tim Burton, which is like, that's not the case in the slightest. Tim Burton.
Yeah, no, Tim Burton's vision is all over this thing.
Yeah.
It's not like some of his later movies that have been completely sterilized.
Ugh.
Into the movie, the balance of the movie started to shift a little bit. So you wanted to, play to your strengths. The Joker became a little bit more than he actually was in the earlier drafts, which is only smart. Halfway through shooting, Jack and John Peters go to see the Phantom of the Opera. And at the end of Phantom of the Opera, there's a scene where she goes up to the tower. I don't know how the story went, if John turned to Jack, Jack turned to John, but said, this is what we need. And the next day, they started writing that scene, the whole ending in the tower.
I was very grateful for Jack's support.
Yeah, okay, that they were inspired by another thing. He was sitting there, he's seeing that scene on stage. He's like, dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. I like it. Yeah, that's fine.
And then hence why he says the thing when he shoots Bruce. You dance the devil in
But
the
no,
pale.
that was a thing before that, wasn't it? Because it's throughout the entire movie.
Right, it's just that becomes a literal interpretation of it, or at the very least, that's how I interpret what you just said of it.
Oh yeah, it was always there, and it's like, oh, this is how we could actually roll it into the screenplay.
Right.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yep. Also, it's not like creators haven't done that before. You see a thing, and then you almost in your head, you're just like, all right, how can I have that thing, but it also makes sense and be good? It's what the homages basically are. It's having that thing and it be done, hopefully, be done right.
Poor,
Right, go on. How did the studio fuck it up?
Just said, don't let them, you just get what you need, and don't let them get to you and that kind of thing.
A lot of this movie comes from just moments of improvisational inspiration.
So there was definitely pressure. I mean, there was...
Okay, HiTop, you're doing that thing where you're just cutting everybody off, and you're not really letting somebody get the full context out of what they're saying.
Or even finish the full statement.
Yeah, there was no period in that sentence. You just cut him off like 0.2 seconds when he was probably done talking.
Also, that doesn't really bolster his point. Usually you'd use a quote like this as like, this is all true, and here's the proof. It's like, we actually have someone who's on the inside asserting that it is the case. Here he's just like throwing in these quotes of people saying that the studio wanted things. So he can be like, yes, the studio did everything. They wanted all of this, and that's why it's bad. It's like, oh, okay, that's nothing.
There was pressure between him and John Peters at times, and I think John, made some good contributions. Peters wanted the Prince music. He kept saying, we're going to have Prince do songs, because Mark Canton's big hit up to this point had been Purple Rain.
John Peters came to me one day and said, Warner's have this thing going with Nike. Can you use any of their sportswear? Why don't they make the Bat boots?
Of course.
Okay, hold on. If that actually was the case and Batman had like Nikes as his boots, I would immediately be then like, Bruce, is Batman just sponsored? Is it the fucking boys all over again?
If that happened, his argument would hold up, because that would be, actual studio interference fucking with the character. But the fact that didn't happen implies that the studio is being stood up to.
Or if it did, it wasn't like product placement where we see, like, it wasn't Amazing Spider-Man 2 levels where we just see logos everywhere.
Yeah, I don't actually remember any specific product placement in the movie at all. Not really. Maybe some of the cars were a particular make, but I don't remember it being front and center at all.
No, not that I can think of. There's legit no product placement. We don't.
But when we were watching it, we did bring up, it's like, why do you think they actually went with Prince? And we threw it, like, maybe it was a studio thing. Maybe, Prince was just a really big artist at the time, and they were like, Prince? Clown Prince of Crime? Yeah, that kind of jives. We'll go with that.
Yeah, and it kind of just turned out to be that. John Peters wanted Prince, because Purple Rain had just come
And I
out.
fully believe that those scenes of, like, when he goes into the art gallery, he's got the music, and he's dancing while he's defacing all these priceless works of art. That was in there anyway. What music they put in was kind of irrelevant, as long as it matches the scene. Same with the parade. You know, at the parade, when he's got a big float, he's going to be playing something, you know, that's bouncy and funky and also popular at the time. It tracks.
Of course actors ad lib, and of course the lighting changes, and of course opportunities arise.
Just for the taste of it.
Of course, Alfred drinks Diet Coke. He's getting up there in the years. He can't drink main Coke.
Yeah, you got to watch your cholesterol. Yeah, so these ads, these are irrelevant to the movie.
Yeah,
I agree that they're kind of weird and they're funny to look back on, but like I said earlier, the 80s were the wild west of product tie-ins.
Well, it's like how me, who absorbs way too much information, I kind of had that talk about stop taking commercials into account, because I used the when we were watching Spider-Man: Homecoming, myself, River, and Ninja, I was talking about the Audi commercial, and it's just like, wait, Peter does know how to drive. He got his license specifically with that car, and and Ninja just went like, stop it. That's the problem being is that they used everybody. They even got Robert Downey Jr. for it. So my brain just immediately went, oh, that's got to be canon then. They put it just in there. The problem with that being is that it makes no fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
but yeah, if he's looking at this as a way that the studio interfered with the movie, he's in the weeds. It's like, these ads have no bearing whatsoever on how good the movie is.
Could I please get this? Like, this like attachment to my soda cans that gives it a cape? Because I don't know. I feel like if I was drinking a Dr. Pepper that had a cape, I'd be like, man, there's something fancy about this Dr. Pepper. It's like an American. It's like
super diabetes.
It's like an American Dad when Stan Smith wanted his sandwich to be more American. He put a sparkler on it. It's like
That's why it's called filmmaking. You know what I mean? That's why it's called filmmaking. You know what I mean?
Okay, hey, High Top. I get you're trying to make a joke. Knock it off with the music. That's like the editor out of the three of us. Like, everything he does in his editing pisses me off at a fundamental level.
That's why it's called filmmaking. That's why it's called filmmaking. You know what I mean? It's the process that makes the magic.
Imagine dealing with that. No, seriously, imagine having to completely shift your vision because the hack producer financing your movie goes to see a play. No wonder.
Okay, here's what you do. Here's what you do. You put your foot in the fucking sand and you say no. Or at the very least, you try to compromise.
This is one of the big issues that these people don't understand. When it comes to film as a business, yes, it is an art form. But the difference is, if you want to go paint a painting, you don't need millions of dollars invested in you to do that. The producer is always going to have pull over your film because they are the fucking producer. It's their money.
Yeah, and it's just the director's job to make sure that it doesn't actually get away or get in the way of the story they're trying to tell. It's like, finance the movie, yes, but don't interfere with the story. And the back and forth between them is what dictates the end result.
Right, and that's the difference between a good producer and a shitty producer. Most good producers will kind of keep their hands off and trust the director and the writer to deliver their vision. But that's not always the case. That's why you have good movies and you have bad movies.
Yeah. Well, I think we can all say it.
But some of that can also be on the director. Like, sometimes the vision is just shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the people that invested in Sucker Punch. You know, they were like, oh man, Zack Snyder's on the top of his game. He can do no wrong. Womp womp.
And what was it? I think they were talking about on EFAP when it was just like, what else were we supposed to do? When it was talking about like bringing Palpatine back or something. They were talking about like the writer and like when they are the difference between having limits versus no limits.
Yeah, having some limits is a good thing. You should always have limits. And the first and foremost limit you should always have is that it should make coherent sense.
wonder the Joker is the center focus. Jack Nicholson sells tickets. No wonder there's unnecessary Prince music in two of the
Also,
Well,
hold
hold
on. Fuck off with the whole, like, Jack Nicholson sells tickets. Also, Jack Nicholson's Joker is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he was also just a very good casting for that role. And also, this is one of the movies that made him so popular. One of them.
What made him, like, almost the default Joker for some people for, like, quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a lot of people, this was their introduction to the character.
Mm-hmm. Just like how,
I'm gonna
just
see
like how
what
Heath
he
Ledger.
did, like, before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Shining was before this.
It had to have
One
been.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is also before this. So he was a big name already, sure. But to say that they only gave him this part because he sells tickets is backwards.
Joker's biggest scenes. Prince sells tickets. No wonder there's such an underdeveloped romance between Bruce and Vicky. Romance sells tickets. No wonder.
The only part I didn't like about the romance
does
between
it?
Bruce and Vicky was the scene where she came into the Batcave. But that's only because fucking Alfred just brought her in.
Yeah, that felt really rushed and out of place and doesn't really add up to much.
Yeah, if Vicky had discovered it herself or Bruce let her in, that would have been very different.
Well, if this was a trilogy, like I think it was originally going to be after the first one was popular, if they just left it as a loose thread, like he tried telling her the truth, it didn't really work, and it's kind of still up in the air, they're still dating as Bruce and Vicky, but she still doesn't know, that's good. It means you just add more to the life he has outside of Batman. You add more to Bruce, and you also give Batman extra things to worry about. That's fine. She doesn't actually need to know yet.
No wonder there is a relatable comedic relief character that has no other reason to be there than to explain stuff to the audience and attempt to make us laugh. Comedy sells tickets.
Bullshit.
No.
Okay, he's the comic relief character. Yes, that's true. He also represents how normal people are experiencing the fact that there's a man dressed as a bat running around beating the shit out of people. He's the contextualizer. That's his superhero name.
Knox, I'm trying to think, like, if Knox truly annoyed me, or if it was just something I was like, I'm gonna forget about him in like 10 minutes, and then
I mean,
did.
I was responding to him pretty much the same way as other characters in the movie were. Like his actual personality type is the abrasive Joker
Reporter.
kind of asshole. Yeah. And he played it perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's clearly just trying to get his story, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah,
No
he's
wonder
like a bit exhausting to be around, but that's consistent with how he's presented. It's not like in other movies where everybody acts like this character's really likable, but they're actually just really annoying to listen to. It's
also him hitting
fine.
on Vicky a lot that was a bit. You know, after like the 75th
Red is consistent.
After like the 75th rejection, you think you take a hint?
Well, no, he's an asshole.
Fair enough.
The third act seems very rushed. They thought of it halfway through fucking shooting. The Phantom of the Opera sells tickets. Let me give you a visual example of how WB.
So improvisation can work. It's once again execution. Ghostbusters 2016 is completely improvisational half the fucking time. But the reason why that doesn't
because they relied on it to write the script for them.
Yeah. There's a difference between good improvisation, like I Know is a perfect example of the improvisation by Harrison Ford, because like he knew Han wouldn't fucking say I love you too, or the fucking like a lot of this is done by Harrison Ford. Indy shooting the guy with the sword. Like
yeah, using improvisation to use the character to spice up the performance in ways that the script didn't account for. Yeah, that's good shit. That's the actor contributing to the character.
Yeah.
Using it as a hitch or a crutch for when insert joke here, that's when it doesn't work. That's when it falls on its face.
And also, with the problem why it also doesn't work in Ghostbusters was because there was no foundation for the joke for them to improv on. They clearly just started rambling and just rolled the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I remember correctly, improv still has a tiny bit of structure to get it going.
But yeah, just going back to like the comedy or him being the comic relief character, none of his jokes were improvised that we could tell. I mean, I'm sure some of the mannerisms and stuff were. That's fine. What is the problem with that though? It's like, oh, we have the comic relief character because comic relief characters sell. That's not why you have a comic relief character. You have them to help balance out the tone. They exist throughout fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having a romance in because blockbuster movies have a love interest, that's true to an extent.
Yeah,
a lot
that
of the
is
times they can
true.
feel ancillary and they don't contribute much. But it really comes down to, do you actually do anything with that character? Do they contribute anything?
Right.
Or are they just there to be there? And both of them contribute in their own ways.
It's
Like
kind
I
of
said,
like
he's the one who shows us how normal people experience this.
it's kind of like how I almost want to like I don't think this will be a hot take. The fucking romance in Fifth Element, that's pretty forced for the most part.
Yeah.
There's some moments where they do develop, but the whole climax of that love story is very forced.
Tended to work back then, and probably works now. Let's put Bane in a movie. Young Alex will buy 3 Bane toys. Let's put Joker in a movie. Young Alex will buy 3 Jokers and 1 Harley Quinn toy. Let's put Two-Face.
So
okay,
can't make
we
that...
actually know from real-world examples, Star Wars, that this doesn't work. That's not how this works. That's never been how this works. Those toys only sell if the people who go to see the movies like the characters.
And also, these are all Batman animated series versions, so fuck off on that.
Yeah, so that falls on its face.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, Young Alex will buy 2 Two-Faces and 1 Tommy Lee Jones face.
Okay, first off, I would have that toy just because of how ridiculous that is.
Yeah, that.
On one
that
side you've got Agent.
Hell.
On one side you've got Agent K. On the other side you've got fucking crazy fuckface. I don't know. So.
Yeah, you've got a space pimp.
Yeah.
Borderline Ivan Ooze.
Right? Agent Ooze.
Agent Ooze. he's Ivan Ooze's HR guy. Like how he is his publicist.
Let's keep making Batman media and Alex.
All right, all this is once again animated series. Stop it. Your argument is falling apart. HiTop's.
You'd think he would appreciate Batman '89 a little bit more, considering as how it is very heavily inspirational towards the animated series.
I mean, he made that point kind of at the beginning. It's like, yes, it's really
influential. But then he
blah,
went
blah, blah.
really far. He was like, without this, we wouldn't have Batman. We would have an animated series. Without this, we wouldn't have the Arkham games. Then we wouldn't have had Snyder. Then we would have had this like, whoa.
HiTop, come back! You're in the weeds.
Yeah.
And what he seems to be building up to is that the only reason anything happened in the movie is to sell things, when you can actually just go more fundamental than that and it fixes all of this. The reason the studio funded the movie is because it's a superhero and it would sell toys. That's where the studio got in. That has no bearing whatsoever on the quality of anything that's on screen at all.
So buy 8 Batman toys, 1 Alfred, 1 Old Man Wayne, and 3 separate Robin toys. Let's part.
Again, animated series. Your argument is not valid.
Partner with McDonald's and Alex will buy a Batman Forever mug with his fucking chicken nuggets. Don't forget the Batman '89 mug. And that's not all, kids. Look at this shit.
That's fucking Clayface from animated series. That's classic Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and all of these are things that came out after Batman '89, which we know that he's aware of. So, yeah, what is his argument?
How about not
there?
be such a fucking consumer? How about if you're gonna buy a toy?
Yeah, this really feels like he's bitter about the fact that he owns all this stuff.
Yeah, it's why it reminds me once again of that guy. They all collect DVDs and figurines, and it's just like, It's like, and now it's from like, oh, I'm so bitter because now I've got all these toys. And it's being used against me. And it's just like, oh, okay, you're the one that bought them.
Little nerdy.
Fuck
What's
me.
with the random hot water bottle?
Oh no, that's Martian Manhunter. You can see the green of his head right here.
Oh. Okay, never mind. I thought it was just a random hot water bottle in with his toys. It's like, okay.
Hey, you're telling me you didn't just randomly have hydration supplies in your toy pile?
Well, hot water bottles are not a hydration supplies. Do not drink the hot water bottle.
Oh, that's right. That's actually a thing. It's literally just a bag that you're supposed to put hot water in.
Yeah,
like cramps.
Yeah, you put hot water in it because, you know, you don't really do it as much nowadays. Though I know some girls who do. It's just a warm thing if you're cold.
Or to just help period cramps mainly. That's why a lot of girls use it. I don't know. Like we have those fucking Camelbacks, which are just basically plastic water bottles. I don't know. I'm moving on.
Yeah, and Ton in the chat just pointed out a lot of these aren't even Batman characters. He's just beefing up the collection to make it look like a lot more than it is.
Yeah, that's fucking. I think that might be Man-Bat. That's Namor from fucking Marvel.
And that's Doomsday on the bottom
That's Doomsday. That's Cyborg. Martian
right.
Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter. What's the green thing?
Hold on, I'll just fucking play it back a second.
Kids like me will get their parents to buy them
Still can't tell.
Yeah, we don't actually get to.
And that's not all.
So,
kids, look at
Clayface.
Yeah,
Batman,
so far all Batman.
Robin.
This shit.
Wonder Woman. Somebody.
I'm just wondering why he had multiples of all the characters.
I think
that
it might
normal?
be
I didn't
Darkseid.
do that.
No, yeah,
Could be.
the farthest I've gone is like possibly my Boba Fett collection. I've got like the Disney Infinity figure. I've got the Lego Slave One, and then I've got a classic Boba action figure. But that's about it.
I mean, I didn't really play with action figures very much in general. I was more of a Lego kid.
I was a Lego
video
guy
games
too,
kid.
but I was a Lego guy too, but specifically Lego sets. I was not a freeform Lego builder.
Oh yeah, we had that conversation, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it.
Well, it's mainly because like I like the X-Wing and I want to recreate scenes from the movies, like that kind of stuff. Penguin, Plastic Man, possibly, Hawk Girl. Yeah, we still don't know who the green is. I'm going to assume somebody that's associated with Green Lantern. I'm just gonna say fuck it.
I mean, it kind of looks like one of the iterations of Brainiac.
Maybe.
But I might be reaching. I honestly have no idea what it is. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Go on.
Yeah.
Little nerdy kids like me will get their parents to buy them everything Batman, so while WB makes millions, I keep losing money. I am the problem.
Your parents lose money.
I love how he just said, he's like, I am the problem. It's like, yeah, you kind of fucking are right now.
I am the final reason Batman 89 is not a good Batman movie.
What?
Hold on. What? How does that work? So it's not a good Batman movie because as a kid, I wanted toys from this movie because I liked it so much because it was good. What the fuck kind of circular logic?
What the fuck? Hold on.
Go back.
Not a good Batman movie.
Pause when he does the face. I want that face. And move your mouse.
Oh fuck.
Ah, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Can you put the eyes glow on that, please? Fucking.
I mean, I can, but for right now, I'm just gonna.
That's the new Begone thought that we got for fucking Batman Begins.
There we go. Give that
the
a second
fact
to
that
get
he
there.
has a sweater on, like the cowl and the sweater.
I like to imagine this is just how HiTop exists. He's just
Yeah, that's what he. The bat mask stays on during sex.
He's like Mando. The cowl doesn't come off.
Let's wrap him up. It's pretty much over. He's in the woods deep.
This is ultimate consumer territory.
We're just chasing him down, just like.
Well, I wasn't really alive when it came out, but the kids and moviegoers back then are why we got this beautiful looking, amazingly designed, superb sounding, but completely empty film.
It's not empty. We've argued this throughout the entire podcast so far.
Its sole reason for existing is to make money, to build a brand. Sometimes we get films that are well written and well executed enough to distract us from this fact, and other times we don't. Once again,
I'm trying to figure out how he related that to Batman Begins.
He's saying that Batman Begins was good and serious and distracted us from the fact that it too was about selling toys and making money.
Okay.
Again, I am not arguing that Batman 89 is a bad film. I am arguing that Batman 89 is a bad representation of a character that has been around for 89 years. The biggest issue with this Batman film is...
Well, then you did a shit job.
...the writing and direction of Batman. Batman 89 is a bad Batman movie because it makes no attempt to focus on Bruce Wayne or give him any kind of character development.
What? Hold on. No. That is the exact opposite of what you said earlier. Earlier, you said that it focuses so much on Bruce Wayne that we don't get any characterization for Batman. So, which is it?
I just saw your icon. The fucking...
I mean, it was Bruce Wayne's flat ass for most of this entire stream, so I thought it would change it up.
Oh yeah, you made a joke about how he was rocking the turtleneck and jeans.
Now
yeah, the turtleneck and jeans was not a good look.
Burton wanted to make an insanely cool looking movie about a weird outcast. That's the only kind of film Burton ever wants to make. And you know what? That's fine.
Batman is a weird outcast, which is why
Tim Burton's pretty fucking good at it too.
I was about to say oh, and yet you showed Edward Scissorhands, one of his best films ever made.
Well, it is fair to say that Tim Burton has a niche, and he does it a lot. But there's a reason he does it a lot. He's really fucking good at it. That label that HiTop just rattled off could apply to pretty much any Burton film.
Yeah.
In fact, it's what he does best, which is why he kind of sticks to it.
Yeah. And why his films tend to be very successful.
Fine.
Wait, what? That's fine? You're not going to go on another insane, overlong, repetitive, self-indulgent, nonsensical, idiotic, completely useless, waste of my time, tangent?
No, I'm not. I'm pretty sure this video already explained my thoughts in detail, and honestly, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing Batman murder people. I'm tired of Warner making the worst possible creative decisions with the character I love. I'm tired of seeing people fight over who the best Batman actor is. I'm tired of getting into stupid fanboy debates about the DCEU. And
so basically, you're just done with the franchise, and now it's making you bitter about the movies, even though you actually haven't given a reason as to why they're not good.
Yeah,
you've given a reason why you, for a long time, thought they were good, and now you're just kind of bored of them, which is fine. You don't have to be salty about it.
Can we just stop covering this asswipe? His content is fucking meaningless. He's not even really making any arguments.
Okay, there we go with laser eyes.
Yeah, oh, you've done the meme.
I mean, I just gave him laser eyes. Just funny.
Jesus, the idea that I don't know, the idea of the current product makes you bitter towards the old product. I mean, I don't like what happened with Gina Carano, but I still love Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, the original content is always still going to be there. Yeah. In theory, I could go back and watch Game of Thrones season 1 through 4 and still enjoy myself. Now, it's a little different when you're talking about like a TV show as opposed to a movie.
Right.
But in theory, I could do that, and I would still enjoy the watch through. It's just it's sad knowing that that's where it's going.
Yeah.
But it's also true of Star Wars. It's sad knowing that I can go back and watch the original trilogy. I can go back and watch the prequels, but it's all heading down that road towards Doom.
Right.
That's always going to be in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it's like how you can't really see the end of Return of the Jedi and just think the threat's over, or like, oh, everybody gets to be happy.
I mean, we can. It's not so much that these things ruin the franchise; it's that they ruin the franchise's prospects.
Yes, and how you view it, your perspective of it. Because with the Game of Thrones thing, it's very hard to watch any of the seasons and not think like Daenerys' strongest moments. It's hard to see that and then remember like, oh yeah, you're gonna burn King's Landing to the ground.
Yeah, I can't wait until she's Dragon Hitler.
Yeah. Oh, and then when she talks about like fire and blood in that in the fucking city in season 2, it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see her fulfill what she was promising. We're almost done. We're almost there.
First of all, I'm tired of having to explain this statement, so I will end this 10-minute tangent with this little message. Now I know why Michael Keaton was barely ever in Batman and Batman Returns, because wearing that freaking mask is just horrible. Anyways, guys, my girlfriend thinks I'm a broke loser. Just ask her.
It's true.
And I kind of had dreams of moving out of my mom's basement, so if you could
Weird
please
flex,
donate to
but
the page.
okay.
This is really out. Like, so the video's over, and now he's just trying to do things. It's like, what?
It's $1.
I mean, this is what he does when he thinks he's run out of things to say. So this is just where we are now. So what point is he making? Because he never actually said how studio interference ruined the movie. He started off like he was about to make that point, and then he just diverged completely. Is like, I'm the reason the movie is shit because I thought it was good.
Basically his whole thing on studio interference was basically how like it ruins it because the film wanted to make money, so they used what was popular, and it's like that's not necessarily a bad thing. Execution.
Yeah, it's why Disney bought Marvel, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, you could definitely tell by that point. By this point, it's definitely turned more into a product.
But it was always a product.
Well,
Disney only ever makes business decisions. They just try
Right.
to back it up with stories that will actually get people wanting those things.
Right. It's just as I meant to say, it's becoming more blatant, the almost malicious nature of it, as opposed to just hey, here's the Avengers. Don't you like the Avengers? It's like, oh, yes, the first Avengers film is pretty neat.
I bet they're gonna try and sell Agatha fucking toys. It's like, look, this wasn't just a random background character. It's Agatha. She's a witch. Isn't that cool? Don't you want an action figure? It's like, I'll put it with my Rose Tico and Admiral Holdo action figures.
I should
in that giant landfill they ended up in.
Next time I'm at Walmart, I might have to look to see if there are WandaVision toys. There probably aren't.
They could be.
$1. And I know you're thinking, get a real job. Honestly, I'd make more money right now working at Dunkin' Donuts because I'm getting demonetized by YouTube every week. Every week they're like, you know what, copyright claim. And all creators go through that and it freaking sucks. So if you guys just have the time, the temperament, and the patience to enter your credit card information in this thing called Patreon, that would be phenomenal. But anyways, if you guys can find the kindness in your heart to donate to the Patreon, that would be great. And I just want to take a minute and thank all the patrons we have already because literally...
This video was not a great ad for your content.
Yeah. Hell, I don't even... the link is there, but I will, I don't want to openly advertise the Patreon. I'm like, it exists, I guess. I'm not gonna be like, guys, you need to subscribe to our OnlyFans. That's basically what that, because I don't want to be my own whore, basically. I don't want to be both pimping myself and be the whore.
I mean, I get that you have to mention it on occasion because that's just how that works. That's fine. And if anybody wants to back this guy's Patreon because they enjoy his content, that's also
Yeah,
fine, you're allowed.
yeah,
Well,
like
it's not illegal. But yeah, just I am in no way inspired to support more of this. Even though
yeah.
I fully agree that the copyright claim, it's bullshit.
Oh yeah, the
We all
copyright
know
system with
it's
YouTube's
bullshit
fucking
for
broken.
anybody. Even content creators I actively do not like, even as people, I'm still on their side when it comes to that shit because it affects everybody.
Yeah, it's why when YouTube for some reason asked me, it's like, would you like to fill out a survey, a creator survey? I went like, oh, you guys are about to get a piece of my mind. And then I basically just used that whole thing to kind of shit on the algorithm. You're like, so, one, how you fucking prioritize people's viewers. Secondly, all the demonetization shit. It's fucking awful.
Yeah, they're not going to change that as long as
Yeah,
it
as long as
protects them from lawsuits.
Yeah, it does. I'll throw the overlay back up. So that was High Top. I don't really need to. We don't need to hear the rest of the Patreon thing. That was a thing and a half.
It was.
Did this change
I am both
anyone's?
a little tired and a little hungry.
Did,
I don't need to go immediately. I'm just, it was a lot.
Yeah. With I'm trying. I don't think this influenced a single thing on my opinion of Batman '89. I still feel firm in my camp that like what would if you had to give '89 a number? I'd say it's possibly a 7, maybe an 8.
I go for a bit of 7. It's, it's a good bit above average, but it still has its tisms.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ninja?
Are we talking about High Top or are we talking about the movie?
No, 89.
Movie.
If you had to, like, out of 10, what would you objectively give Batman?
I would say it's probably easily a 7 or an 8. It's not a lot of people's problems with it have to do with the meta. It has to do with, well, that's not the Batman that I like or I know. But it's like if you take it as it is and you say this is what the film presents to us, it doesn't contradict itself. It doesn't create problems or have a bunch of writing issues. It's pretty solid. Like you may disagree with, well, my Batman doesn't kill people. Well, this one does. And that doesn't contradict anything that's established in the film. Batman never mentions that he has a rule where he doesn't kill people.
Right. In terms of like just bad writing bits, I don't even think this would just be bad writing. The out of the blue moments where it gets a bit goofy, like the guy with the ankle blades and the bat nut tap device.
But those are not
random
writing
goons. Like, yeah, none of them are
That's why
writing
I said
problems.
that's why I said they weren't writing problems. I was like,
I think they're just times when the tone, which is usually pretty consistent in terms of how
it's where the
comic
film
it is,
kind of lost
it
its
goes a
tone.
little bit too far, but overall it's consistent and it's fine.
Mhm.
It's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the only thing we really got out of this is just nailing down some more specifics on what we think about the movie, because it's not all praise. We didn't just suck the movie's cock for 3 hours. We actually do have some scenes that were not very good or some problems here and there, but that's allowed. We don't need it to be perfect.
I don't know if I even liked the scene where Joker was destroying all the art. Mainly because I was just like, man, I'm trying to like really break it down in my head. Because at one point it's like, yeah, the prince was a tiny bit distracting. And the idea that like Joker just wants to be like the first homicidal artist, and he threw the acid or whatever on the blonde lady's face, the one that was the mob boss's girl. I think the interactions with Joker and Vale were decent. It was before that was just I kind of was just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I mean, some of his scenes where he's just riffing and he's just going over the top goofy, not all of them work. but overall, as his character, it
Right.
tracks. So
The scene where he shoots the mob boss was pretty good until they started playing literal circus music.
yeah, this circus music was a little on the nose.
Yeah,
But again, it tracks.
Because and we also, I very much just enjoyed just seeing the foundation that would become all these versions of the great character. Like just watching when he was shooting the mob boss and he was just like between the legs or behind the back, it was just like, oh yeah, that's something Joker would totally do.
Yeah, it's like the guy's already dead and now he's just playing around and having fun. And enjoying the murder. Yeah, that's the Joker. That's something the Joker does.
Him talking to Bob, you are my number one guy.
That was really intense. And also, rip Bob.
I was going to say Bob was like genuinely one of my favorite henchmen because Bob was just into it the whole time.
Oh yeah, as soon as we're not mobsters anymore. Now I'm the Joker, and Bob's just like, and he just informs the rest of the henchmen. And he got Letterman jacket. Oh, by the way, those jackets, the leather jackets the Joker goons were wearing, exact same as the ones the cops were wearing, just with a different paint job.
Yeah.
I
Bob
didn't know
was
that.
like the most ride or die,
Oh
and
yeah.
And unfortunately he paid for it. Bob, give me your gun.
I couldn't think, like every time they kept saying Bob though, it made me think of Bob from Hydra. With
Hydra
like Deadpool
Bob?
and Bob.
Yeah. I also liked it how when Batman's fighting all the Joker goons in the alleyway, Bob just has the knife. Batman just basically does the come here thing, and Bob just drops the knife and runs.
Like, he saw a guy who was just waving his 2 full-length swords around, not do anything, and he's just like, "Yeah, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? No, I'm leaving."
I enjoyed that. We made the joke that that Joker just hired the local weeb. He was just doing flips and kicks and just flailing his swords around. But as soon as Batman threw an actual punch, he went down like a sack of bricks.
And yeah, it's so rare that you see a goon with self-preservation instinct. It makes it all the sadder when he dies.
Yeah.
Rip Bob.
Rip
in
Bob.
the arms of an angel.
I'm just gonna make a montage of that where it's just like Bob just being held by God.
Oh yeah, like that thing at the Oscars where it's just like in memoriam.
Yeah. Oh, that just reminded me of the dumbest thing. I think I mentioned this for only a brief second. Did you know that they're doing an in memoriam for comic book characters?
Yeah, you mentioned that,
Yeah,
and God, it sounds so dumb.
Yeah, it's like, oh, King Shark died this year. It's like, he's a comic book character.
He'll
come
probably
back.
be back in a month.
Yeah.
And have some patience, goddamn.
It's like, not only that, as opposed to real in memoriams, these characters are fictional.
Yeah, nobody actually died.
What the hell?
Oh, and just back to HiTop though, we were completely wrong in our predictions for his Joker thing.
Yeah,
we
were.
thought he was going to make comparisons to Ledger and all that. No, he just went on a whole different tangent.
Yeah, he just said he was just bad on his own. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a stronger angle from which to make an argument, sure, but you still have to make an argument.
Mm-hmm.
And have it be based on the things that are in the movie rather than outright falsehoods.
In terms of just my favorite Joker, it's gotta be Hamill. But fucking who played him in Lego Batman? It was
It's got to be live action if you're making the comparison.
Then I'd say
because if we go to the animated ones, it's cheating because the animated version of anything Batman is the best version of anything Batman.
Well, yeah. In fact, for most of the time, they haven't had that much competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I can only think of like 3 people who voiced Batman: Will Arnett, John DiMaggio. No, John DiMaggio played the Joker in Under the Red Hood. But the argument still stands. We can't think of that many other than, of course, the Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill. Live action, I think I'll say Nicholson. because out of the three, he's the only one that's got good tisms.
I mean,
Three.
I will say it's like this is maybe giving it away a little bit, but Heath Ledger's performance is one of the best.
Right, and
Just there are
and
problems with the character.
and Ninja, if you were questioning the three, you forget there's that guy with the damage tattoo on his head.
There are at least 5.
Of live at oh fuck me, yeah. I meant of the movies. Cause
I guess if you're excluding like
Romero.
Cesar Romero from
Yeah.
the because he's not in a movie, then there are at least 4.
I actually don't remember enough of Cesar Romero's performance to make a comparison. It's a very different take on the Joker, sure.
Hold on, Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger. Yeah, you're right. There are 4. What was the 5th one then?
Jared Leto.
I already said Jared Leto.
Joaquin.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
wow, I just had that major gap of
we were just so locked in with the superhero movie and the comic book continuity bullshit that we absolutely blanked on the best one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Then Joaquin.
I feel embarrassed.
Fuck me. I feel embarrassed too. I was like, I feel genuinely like ashamed of myself right now. Fucking Jesus.
It's like, how could I? Jesus.
Joaquin, I'm sorry. I know you're
That's what I was like 3. What is he on about? Like 3? No, there's way more than that.
Then you just see both me and Slur having a fucking moment, just like
This is better than the 3 Jokers.
You're like, huh? Pardon? Yeah, Joaquin is definitely best Joker. Or at the very least, that's the best story tied to the Joker as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Unarguably.
Anyone got anything else they want to talk about, or shall we then call it a bit of a day / maybe switch it over to gaming? Question mark.
Yeah, I'm happy to hop on, play some games after I get some food and stuff. So I think, as usual, once we go through the video, we kind of cover all the points. Unless is there an aspect of 89 that he didn't touch on at all that we thought was good? Because he kind of did the main thing.
Let me think.
We did talk about the love interest stuff and the ways it worked and didn't.
Of course, there's an awesome thing he didn't talk about. Alfred.
Okay, yes. Hold on. Yeah, I fucking love
good
Alfred. Like, it's why that guy, which is funny because I've never known the name of that Alfred actor. It's why he's one of my favorites. No, not Michael Caine. That's the one from the fucking. I like how Rivers behind me who says the blatantly wrong option. I'd never know his name, and I have that thing called IMDb like right next to me.
Yeah, the Alfred we get in these movies is a real good Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
So he fully carries every aspect of that character he needs to. How he supports Bruce in his Batman exploits, but deep down he actually wants him to move past it.
Yeah.
All that good stuff, all the little things that are for the character, and just how much he cares.
Mm-hmm.
How much he's the one who grounds him. How sincere their bond is as family. Just all the heartwarming, nice things that contrast the Edge.
And it also really bothers me, like, when you think about the other incarnations and how Jeremy Irons just had nothing to work with. They just told him to be really Michael Caine. And it's just like, really? You got Jeremy Irons to be fucking Alfred Pennyworth, and you just want him to just be a sidekick, basically?
I want to note that on IMDb, Bob is credited as Bob the Goon, like as his character name.
Yeah, he had his own action figure too.
Did he?
Yep.
You know what? He deserved it.
Yeah, Bob was amazing.
Bob earned it.
I wonder if the guy who plays Bob is still alive, and also if he goes to conventions.
Yeah. He's still alive, I think.
I mean, I'd say he's pretty old, but, you know.
I've seen him in other stuff, but
I wonder if he
Have you?
frequents conventions even before the end times.
He's one of those guys who like shows up in the background of a lot of movies, but he doesn't do a lot of like lead acting work.
I like to imagine every time one of us would see him, we'd just go, "That's Bob! It's Bob!"
I mean, if I recognize him, I probably would, but I don't know
He's
how.
been in
well I would
178
recognize him.
movies for
Oh my
comparison.
god!
God damn!
Yeah. He was in
Well-
31 with the guy from Doom. Recent things he's been in.
In terms of like how
Spit on Your Grave. He was in Monk.
in terms
Criminal
of
Minds.
in terms of
Always
how
Sunny in Philadelphia.
Just pick up your sentence from where you left it off. Don't keep starting over.
Then I lose my fucking place too. So in terms of a Joker that has missed the mark, that would definitely be Leto's Joker, because we live in a society, Batman.
We do, in fact, live in a society. In fact, Jack Nicholson didn't say it once. How are we supposed to know?
We made jokes while we were watching. It's like, how are we supposed to tell if he lives in a society?
I can't even tell whether he's damaged or not. There's no label.
Yeah, see, this is where High Top is coming from. You know, it needs to be shown to us through literal tattoos on their forehead, or told to us through literal lines of dialogue. It's not enough to just have the story have any kind of meaning or implication.
No visual storytelling, no things being told us through the performance. No, none of those things that require talent. You just have to say it.
What's gonna be worse, the whole the version of Joker we got through Suicide Squad, or the fucking We Live in a Religion Batman?
Oh, dude,
I
it's gonna
honestly
be so much
don't know.
worse. It's gonna be so much worse. The
There's
fucking
more
it's
of
gonna be
it.
puritanism.
Like
all of it.
I
It's
guess
gonna-
it just depends, because in Suicide Squad, yeah, it's fucking awful, but he's barely there. But the We Live in a Society moment, that's just one little line in a trailer. If they put more of him in the movie and he has more lines like that, it could add up real quick.
You know they're
They
gonna
got
do it.
4 hours to cover. He's fucking in it, man.
Yeah, there's
So,
gonna be like
yeah,
there's
he's
gonna be a
gonna-
whole hour. There's gonna be a whole hour where we spend time in Apocalypse area.
Oh, damn.
Well, I don't know if that's confirmed. That's just my bare guess. If we've got 4 hours, probably one of those will probably be dedicated to apocalypticisms. I really want to know if him wearing the Jesus stuff, like him with the crown of thorns, if that's just promotional shit, or if some point
No.
Joker will literally be crucified.
That's on point for fucking Snyder. He
Honestly,
believes in
yeah.
selling his themes very heavy-handed. Like,
And the
make no
theme is
mistake.
always Jesus.
Yeah.
That if
It's going to be a perversion of Superman being Jesus.
I really, if there's one thing I really didn't like when Snyder touched that, it was the Jesus comparisons. I'm like, okay, like the comparisons to godhood with Superman. He's normally been compared to the Greek gods, or
No, there's a ton of religious comparisons you can make.
Yes.
between
Oh, yeah.
Superman.
I
Snyder is
understand
not the
that.
first one to say Superman
Well,
is
I
Jesus.
understand that. It's just I've always found it weak when they do it to the Christian God, as opposed to when they compare him to like Zeus, or it's probably because
Why?
I was going
It's
to
a
say
closer comparison.
He's literally
hold on
from Kansas,
I was
where
also-
that would be the predominant religion.
Well, I was also gonna say it probably doesn't help that in the DC universe, the Greek gods are actually tangible people. Meanwhile, Jesus and that kind of stuff, they're still just.
If you
philosophy.
believe in them, they're tangible in our universe. If you don't, you don't. The point is, religious comparisons can be made and have been made since the very beginning.
They can be made. It's just weaker as opposed to when you can actually touch Zeus, Hades, Ares. When meanwhile, Jesus has never appeared in a fucking DC comic. He probably has though. But it's.
I'm going to guess that he probably has. The
Yeah.
comics have done some weird shit.
Yeah, comics are fucking weird. That was the argument I was making when something was more in their universe physically tangible.
It's not about what's in their universe. It's about the comparison that people are making. and the implication of the writer. And in the writer's universe, those kind of religions are predominant: Christianity, Catholicism. It's why you see those themes over and over again in comic books, in storytelling, because these are big parts of our real world.
Ton actually raises a good point. Did any of his Jewish writers compare him to Jesus? Because
No,
they
they
wouldn't see him as a
didn't.
Messiah.
They didn't. Because
Hmm.
as somebody who actually read Superman comics, no, the whole Jesus thing is very much a sort of modern interpretation.
I will say I've only ever really seen it done in the movies. Where,
Yeah.
you know, he flies with like both of his arms out or some bullshit like that. I haven't read many of the comics where Superman is in it, but of the few, what's the Justice League one? It's all dark and stuff.
Well, there's just a bunch of them that are dark.
Kingdom something.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come.
Yeah,
There's a
I read
ton
those
of
ones.
symbolism in Kingdom Come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's in the name. It's the end
Yeah.
days.
Right.
So that one I'll give it that. So that's in the comics.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's one of premier like DC arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, it's always there, just not in some or more.
Well, even just the
regular
concept
Supermans.
of, you know, a super being sent to Earth to basically save the world.
Right.
Just that concept on its nose. Do you apply that to Superman or to Jesus or to both? You know what I mean? Like the same comparison could be made to Goku or any of the other Superman-esque characters. It's sort of the archetype. They are essentially modeled after Jesus in that way, that they are the Messiah, they are the protector of the world, they are the chosen one.
Which is actually even more troubling the closer you get to a real comparison, because if you go from he's like Jesus to he is Jesus, he is Earth's salvation, that becomes very worrying, because the next time Jesus shows up, we're done for.
Yeah.
We're in Revelations, baby.
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
done.
die.
Now, seeing fucking comic book heroes go through like an actual biblical Revelations arc would be interesting as all hell.
They have.
But what, like actual the revelations from the Bible?
Yeah, Wonder
with
Woman
all the
fucking
weird
fought
shit in it.
demons or shit. Hold on, I'm pretty sure they fucking have dealt with fucking this kind of like the end times. Like, I don't want to just say the apocalypse, because the problem is that there's so many interpretations of the apocalypse.
Yeah, no. When I say Revelations, I mean very specific.
Have DC comics? I don't want to say tackled Armageddon. Have they ever tackled Revelations? I'll just.
I can pretty much guarantee that they haven't, because they would have had to have essentially shown the universe ending and their heroes losing, and they would have pissed off a lot of religious people.
I mean, Kamandi is basically that, except without that's the problem with the religious part. Because touching on
specifically Revelations, not just apocalypse or a doomsday type scenario.
Ever
That's
tackled
the line.
Revelations.
I'm actually googling Revelations as well, just to.
Right.
We've never seen Superman on a heavenly throne with a rainbow around it, having him seated in it is revealed. Like, he's never had a rainbow throne. That's never been a thing.
Well, I mean, he probably had it in the Silver Age, where he literally spat rainbows out of his fingers. Comic books are dumb.
There's never been a supervillain that's a lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes. No.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, so they never went into the specifics.
Also, it doesn't help that, like, when you're invoking religious isms, it's harder to do it in written form than it is in movie form, because you could just have somebody just do the arm thing. Meanwhile, when fucking Wonder Woman, when she loses her powers, becomes like a pretty like devout Catholic, and it becomes really fucking weird. considering
Why Catholic?
I don't know. It just becomes weird because Zeus is fucking real.
You really latch onto this real argument, and it makes me think you don't quite understand how religion works.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with in their universe, Zeus literally made her from clay.
Yeah,
So it's not a religion.
It's not a
He's
religion.
just there.
It is fact in their universe.
Yeah, it's not like he's a divine being that exists by faith. It's like no. He's literally there.
Yeah, and
that's
because,
the difference.
Yeah, and because like I said, it's harder to show some of these divine beings. So probably showing Jesus. I'm actually gonna just Google Jesus in DC Comics. I wonder if he ever has appeared. Jesus.
You're probably gonna get like some background character named Jesus.
Probably. Jesus and DC. Jesus of. Oh my God, Jesus.
I mean, we know Santa made an appearance in Marvel Comics. He's the most powerful mutant. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and he is a saint. So, you know.
Well, no, he's the killer of saints in this universe.
Wait, what? What?
Jesus of Nazareth, New Earth.
Also
known as Jesus Christ, the Son of God in Christian mythology. His teachings began the religion of Christianity. History: it is known that he lived a remarkable life and supposedly died through crucifixion. Although this has been disputed.
Is this Wikipedia or is this like a DC thing?
This is the DC database.
So yep, he exists. You can't use the Zeus argument anymore.
Okay. I wonder how many comics he actually has appeared. This is very odd, the idea that, because normally the idea, like, remember when there was that religious fighting game? The idea of just even using Jesus, or like Smite can't even use him. Like, the idea of using Jesus is so fucking hard in media.
Well, yeah, it's hard because if you think we're sticklers for canon, oh boy.
Yeah, that's ultimately why I was just like, that's why I was like leaning on that crux of the argument, because like it's so hard to show that shit, so you don't upset the religious ones. That I was just outright dismissing it, but no, it turns out, yeah, Jesus fucking actually existed at one point in the DC universe. That's kind of the weird thing when, like, in comic books, kind of all religions are right.
When they blatantly contradict each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's like when in the Marvel universe, you've got both Thor and Hercules running around, when it's like, well, hold on, you two shouldn't even remotely be near each other.
Okay, so we've gone way into a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
We originally started talking about Alfred. I don't know how we got here.
I mean, it's only natural to talk about Alfred and Jesus in the same.
We were talking about interpretations of characters, and we were talking about Jared Leto's Joker and how, like, they're gonna crucify him probably.
But yeah, I think we kind of covered all of the important parts of 89.
Yeah.
So yeah, job's good.
Yeah, I think we're ready to close out. So thank you all. We hope to all see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.